that I am with great enthusiasm going to endorse Joe Biden.
Senator Kamala Harris joins a cluster of one-time rivals for the nomination, posting a video statement Sunday.
We need a leader who really does care about the people and who can therefore unify the people. And I believe Joe can do that.
I stand with Bernie Sanders today.
But at a rally in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Bernie Sanders picked up his own endorsement from the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
He's never lost his taste for justice for the people.
And Sanders tells ABC's This Week he's not surprised to see the Democratic establishment rallying around Biden.
But we are winning the support of grassroots America because we have an agenda that speaks to working people.
I'm Ben Thomas.
A SpaceX cargo ship has arrived at the International Space Station, delivering experiments, candy, and other goods. The Dragon capsule reached the orbiting lab on Monday after launching from Cape Canaveral late Friday night. NASA astronauts used the station's robot arm to capture the Dragon. The 4,300-pound shipment, the 20th for SpaceX, contains special treats for the three-person crew: grapefruit, tomatoes, and Reese's Pieces, among other things. On the ice last night, the Golden Knights beat the Flames 5-3. With a check on our weather, here's News 3's Dana Wagner.
Today, some sun, plenty of clouds, and a high very close to 70 degrees. We're going to have a chance of rain moving in for Tuesday and Wednesday of this week.
Mostly cloudy, 55 in Las Vegas. And John Schaefer on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON, Las Vegas' only FM news talk station. With a look at the roads, here's John Michaels.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by CBS. Fire crews on a fire call at Charleston near Las Vegas Boulevard. Use an alternate to get around like Sahara or Maryland Parkway. Meanwhile, I-15 still exhibiting a light slowing pattern from this morning's rush hour. Delays are light, but there between Sahara and Tropicana. And on 15 northbound, light slowing past the Southern Beltway up to Spring Mountain Road. Stop by CVS today for a free prescription savings review. Visit cvs.com/RX savings for details and treat yourself well at CVS. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
It's open enrollment season, and MediShare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google MediShare and see if it's a fit for you. MediShare, healthcare you can believe in.
I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortera. We want to thank you for making News 3 your #1 choice for news.
Every weeknight at 11, you can count on us to have the big story of the day.
Plus breaking news that matters to you.
Jim Snyder and Marie Mortera. News 3 live at 11.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Whether you enjoy classical, rock, or heavy metal, we all march to the beat of our own drummer or guitarist. That's why Views also offers you more ways to vape your way. It's available in 5 bold color options, 3 smooth tastes, and 3 nicotine levels. It's your vape, your way. Views, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited.
Have you been lied to by Washington politicians and the Wall Street propaganda machine? Hi, I'm Inc. magazine best-selling author Brett Kitchen. And if you're over 55 with an IRA or 401k, I want to give you a free copy of my new book, Wealth Beyond Wall Street, because according to Time magazine, Wall Street's 401ks have failed millions of Americans. After losing 35% in my IRA in the crash years ago, I said enough. And since then, I discovered a way to grow money potential double digits, reduce taxes dramatically, and also have my money protected when the next stock market crash hits. When the next market crash hits, you lose nothing. Call Wealth Beyond Wall Street now to get your free book and talk to a specialist to discover this little-known strategy to get potential double-digit growth during good years and never lose in the next market crash. Call 800-436-8181 to discover this asset that people like Walt Disney and JCPenney use to grow wealthy. Plus, get one of just 97 free books left. We even cover shipping and handling, no credit card required. Call 800-436-8181. 1-800-436-8181. That's 1-800-436-8181.
You're home after a long day, preparing dinner when...
Ew! What's that? It smells like rotten eggs.
That might be a natural gas leak.
It can't be. We don't have any natural gas appliances.
Even if you don't use natural gas, that rotten egg odor could be a sign of a leak in your neighborhood. Because gas lines can be buried anywhere.
Shut up.
No, speak up. If you ever suspect a leak, leave immediately and call 911 and Southwest Gas.
Thanks, deep voice narrator.
You're very welcome.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro. 1, 2, 3.
What's up, Vegas? Happy Monday. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. Oh, yeah. Hopefully you all are safe out there. You're not quarantined. Hopefully everything is fine. We'll get to the coronavirus stuff coming up, including some remarks of Don Trump Jr., who we spoke about this a little bit yesterday when he said Democrats want millions of innocent people dead so that his father loses in 2020. Well, he was challenged on those remarks. We have his response coming up here in just a little bit. Also, a Joe Biden video that was manipulated. But guess who tweeted it, retweeted it? The White House and our president. We'll talk about that coming up a little bit later in the program as well. Then we have an attorney coming in studio. His name is T. Matthew Phillips. I hate to use this term lightly, but he is a conspiracy theorist. He believes that the coronavirus was not only man-made, but it was made in a lab. We're going to ask him where his proof is, why he feels this way, coming up in hour number 2. Jamieson Welsh from Drive Time Sports is going to be joining us. How is coronavirus affecting sports in general? Fans, is the NBA going to actually play games without any fans in the stands? Is this going to happen in college sports in the NCAA tournament? He's going to be joining us in hour number 3 to talk about that. And, of course, we got the West Coast Conference Tournament. I believe it's, in action tonight. We have the semifinal games on ESPN at the Orleans Arena. So we'll get to that and much, much more. But it is Monday, and that means it is time to introduce none other than the man himself, Chris Winn, or as we like to call him, C. Winn. Thank you for being here, C. Winn. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Always good to join you guys on a Monday. And it always seems like we have so much to discuss, Brian, doesn't it? When we come in on this glorious day.
Oh, yeah.
After, obviously we have a couple days of material and events that we can kind of pontificate on.
No question. We got a lot to talk about, Chris, and you were definitely a big part of that. Let's start with Major League Baseball weekend. Of course, the Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds were in town. Last week when we had the A's in town, when you have a media pass, ladies and gentlemen, when you have a media credential, usually they serve you free food. Well, they were serving eggs last week, and Chris just totally annihilated the eggs. There were none left when I went there. I was pissed off.
I like eggs.
Chris wasn't there on Saturday, so there were actually eggs available. But fun games, great weather, great turnout. Jim Gemma, everyone, Don Logan, everyone there within that organization. They really do a great job. It's a beautiful ballpark, and it was really fun to see Chris Bryant, Rizzo, those guys out there over the weekend. Even though they lost a few games, they were out after the third, fourth inning, but just fun to see those guys in this city. And it just makes you think more and more that it's just a matter of time before we get to Major League Baseball. And then over the weekend was the Mountain West Conference Tournament.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, the finals was between Utah State and San Diego State. And it was one of the better basketball games, college basketball games I've seen in person in a very long time. It featured, obviously, the top 2 players in the league. That would be Sam Merrill and the Player of the Year, which was Malachi Flynn. San Diego State, obviously, a top 5 team in the country for most of the season. So this was a game that Utah State had to have because there was never a guarantee that they were going to get into the NCAA tournament, although some people believe they're right on the bubble. But why do you want to take that chance, right? Win the basketball game, which is a difficult, tall task to do, and you're in. The game was back and forth. The final 7 or 8 minutes of that game, I don't know how many lead changes there were, but there were quite a few. And it featured a tie game with about 25 seconds to go. Sam Merrill has the basketball, and I want to play you the audio because it was incredible. This is Sam Merrill with the game-winning shot on Saturday against San Diego State.
Tied at 56. Merrill for the lead. He's got it! Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, the crowd was absolutely going crazy. We're sitting right behind the Utah State bench. I felt privileged to be there for that game because it felt like an NCAA tournament game and probably one of the better Mountain West Conference finals I have seen in a long time. And I've been going for forever, for over a decade. It really was great. So what does C. Winn decide to do? I'll let you take over the story from here, C. Winn. So with 20 seconds left to go, some people put their cameras out to catch that final possession. And C. Winn, you were no different. Only difference being, other than all the fans that were out there with cell phones, we were right behind the Utah State bench. So take us through that.
Yeah, so obviously it's going to go down as one of the more memorable games in Mountain West Conference Tournament history, the matchup between Utah State and San Diego State on Saturday. You pointed out, the back and forth of the second half. But what was unique about us is the fact that it wasn't necessarily, that I'm this great cameraman, right? Or I'm someone who's, just happened to decide that this moment's going to be huge and I got to make sure I get it. But it was our viewpoint. It was where we were at in the arena where we're able to take video, and I just happened to be elevated just enough over the Utah State bench and able to get a great view of Sam Merrill as he takes basically what ends up being the game-winning shot. And it was about a 25, 30-second video, and it caught the shot as well as fan reaction. And look, as you pointed out, there were hundreds of people in the arena that had video of the shot. It just didn't have that exact perspective. So a number of websites across social media, whether it was ESPN, whether it was a Bleacher Report, whether it was Fansided, a lot of major, obviously, major organizations and social media sites end up picking it up and going across and it got basically retweeted thousands of times, hundreds of thousands views, hundreds of thousands of times. So that was pretty cool for us here at the Vegas Take to get something that we put out there.
How many views does that have now?
I believe it's over 250,000.
That's incredible. And
somewhere in
Sports
that neighborhood.
Center retweeted you.
Yeah, and so that was. It was great. It was great exposure for
That's cool.
for the Vegas Take and
250,000 views.
But it was just gives you an idea of how big that shot was, right? And and look, it's going to be looked at in the annals of Mountain West history as one of the biggest shots in tournament history. So it was pretty cool to see that.
And by the way, the guy who hit that shot, Sam Merrill, is going to be joining us on the show tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. Really smart young man with a bright future in basketball. And, even if he's not paid to play in the NBA, he'll have an opportunity. He'll be getting paid to play somewhere in Europe. He's a very special player. Reminds me a little bit of Jimmer Fredette. He's got that range. You could make the argument that Jimmer was a better athlete maybe than Sam Merrill, but Sam Merrill, he was the player of the conference last year, and he's right there this year with Malachi Flynn. So really a fantastic performance by Sam Merrill, and we're looking forward to having him on the show. All right.
And speaking of making the argument, Brian, obviously Utah State could make the argument that they were going to be a tournament team in the big dance before that game. But now, of course, with the victory, you're going to have two teams from the Mountain West playing in the NCAA tournament.
Certainly good for the conference. I had a very interesting and disturbing Saturday night. So after the games, went home on Saturday night and with Jason Stein, our producer, and we're saying, hey, let's stop at a dispensary. Now, I have not done a lot of drugs in my life. I'll be the first one to admit that. I don't really drink. Maybe gotten high maybe a few times in my life. It's just not my thing. It's not really what I do. So he's like, let's stop at a dispensary. I had a friend come over at my place, and I'm at the dispensary, and I bought these, I guess you could call them, they tasted like gummy bears. They were like gummy squares. And I was told by the guy who I bought it from, I take between 1 and 3, but, take one. It's a good dosage. Yep. So I take one. 45 minutes later, my friend comes over. My head is spinning. I am dizzy. I've never felt this way before in my life. And I am extremely anxious, getting worried. And my heart rate is up. And it was no joke. I wasn't making this stuff out of thin air. My heart was going nuts. It was at the point where I almost called 911. That's how scared I got.
This is serious.
I was freaking out.
It is.
I was literally bugging out or freaking out or whatever you want to call it. So luckily my friends,
you can call it both.
My friends over, I wasn't by myself, or I definitely would have called 911.
Yeah.
She told me, get up, walk around a little bit, try to get your mind off things.
Shake your hands out a little bit. Do the Brian Shapiro. Shake your hands out. You might be okay.
This thing, I couldn't even have a conversation with somebody. That's how messed up I was. And I only had one of these little gummy bear things. So luckily she was over. I just curled up in a ball, holding my chest. I'm like, am I going to have a heart attack? I'm curled up on my bed, and I'm just hoping that this thing passes. I couldn't go to sleep for like an hour and a half. It felt like I drank 10 Red Bulls. That's what I felt like. And I've never felt like that before. So I learned a couple of things. Number one, don't take any edibles ever again for the rest of your life. And number two, don't trust anybody at a dispensary because they don't understand what your tolerance is and they don't really know you. You cannot trust people. I'm telling you, I was minutes away from calling 911. Not because I felt high or I was a little anxious, because of my heart rate, my blood pressure. There's no question my blood pressure went way up. And by the way, if you do take, this had 10 THC in it, which to most people that smoke a lot of weed is not a lot. But to me, someone who never does any of that stuff, it was a lot.
You sound like Johnny Depp from Blow. I think I had a high tolerance, but Brian Shapiro does not have high tolerance, apparently.
I didn't know that you can
for the listeners out there, by the way, Brian Shapiro, this is someone who you don't even drink. No. You're not someone who even drinks a lot.
I've never been drunk.
Stretch.
I've never been drunk in my life.
Exactly.
No.
So this is a huge step for you to even entertain these types of opportunities.
Well, All I got to say is it's not for me.
Right.
It's not for me.
Well, apparently that's been made clear by what took place on Saturday because
I didn't know you
put a scare into Shap.
I didn't know
what went down.
I didn't know you could overdose on marijuana. I never knew that. I knew that
You're not supposed to, right? And by the way, we have an expert in studio here, Campaign, who's just absolutely shaking his head and cracking up over here.
The bottom line
by this entire story.
The bottom line here is you can't trust these people at these dispensaries who probably get high every day. For somebody that's new that doesn't do this a lot, their tolerance is going to be a lot lower than obviously somebody like me. Or somebody like me, the tolerance is going to be lower.
Yes.
That's what I meant to say, as opposed to somebody like them. So I took one of these, and it's like poison, man. It's sitting there in my kitchen. I'm just going to give it to somebody. Maybe I'll give it to a little kid. No, wait a second. That'd be a felony. I can't do that. That's against the law. I'll give them to you, Chris. I'll give them to you.
I won't be afraid to partake. I'm someone who's not afraid to, kind of jump into that whole deal.
I was tripping, man. I've never. You know what it felt like? I'll tell you what it felt like. I'll give you the best example. I'm claustrophobic. So for people out there that are claustrophobic, imagine being stuck in an elevator with 30 people and you can't move. That's how I felt. Imagine people that are afraid of insects or spiders. Imagine a spider crawling all over your body and there's nothing you can do about it because your hands aren't working. That's the best way I can describe the feeling that I had for several hours. It was awful. It was a terrible feeling.
Busting out in sweats.
No, I mean,
panic attack maybe coming on.
It's
that's what
you're in a car.
partaking in.
You're in a car accident. You're stuck in the car.
And the car's on fire.
Whatever the case may be, you can't move. You can't get out of the car. It's a horrible, helpless feeling that I felt for hours on end, obviously due to this drug. So I said to myself, all right, I think I'm going to take a break. I'll stick to just cigars once in a while, maybe some hookah once in a while. That's about it. I'm done.
That's not exactly hardcore stuff. That's not going to affect you. And that's not going to make you bust out into cold sweats and start freaking out and think about dialing up 911. If you just have a couple cigars and maybe relax a little bit,
well, that's
you'll
why
be fine.
That's why I said I'm going to stick to those. I didn't say I was going to ban smoking cigars. I'm just saying this weed stuff is not for me. I'm not cut out for it. It's not for me. Alcohol is not for me. Weed is not for me. These people that that take cocaine, and so I've never done that once. I never will because I'd probably be the first one to die if I took it.
Yeah, you're talking about heart issues. I don't think you should be partaking in any type of drugs like that where heart issues tend to raise their ugly head.
Speaking of raising their ugly head, our producer just raised his head and said we should take a break. So we will take a quick break, and we'll have the news with John Schaefer coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, K-Dawn.
Julie Guillot. She's a Leukemia and Lymphoma Society advocate and the mother of a child who battled blood cancer.
Zach was diagnosed with AML, a deadly leukemia, when he was only 5. He died at just 9 years old, really from the treatment that was meant to save him.
Today, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society is pioneering breakthrough treatments for kids with cancer. Visit LLS.org and save a child's life. Furnished by LLS.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-466-9625. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-466-9625.
Amid Las Vegas's glitz and glamour lurks the tragedy of homeless veterans, our nation's heroes who return from war but continue to fight a battle for survival on our city's gritty streets. The basic human need of shelter shouldn't be a luxury to military heroes, which is why there is Veterans Village. Veterans Village is a nonprofit organization providing transitional housing, meals, and social services to homeless vets to give them a hand up. Veterans Village is a place of hope, but we can't do it without you. Be a hero to heroes and donate any amount you can afford at vvlv.org. That's vvlv.org. vvlv.org.
Imagine crossing a street busy with traffic. Against the light.
Watch where you're going!
Wearing a blindfold. Would you do this? Probably not. It's one risk obviously not worth taking. Some risks aren't as obvious, yet could be just as deadly, like the risk for type 2 diabetes. If you're overweight or over 45, if you're not very active, or don't eat as healthy as you should, there's an easy test you can take to find out your risk. It's free, and in less than a minute, you'll know if you're at risk for this deadly disease. Just go to diabetes.org/take-the-test or call 1-800-DIABETES. Because type 2 diabetes is one risk you can't afford to take. Take the diabetes risk test and stop diabetes before it stops you. A message from the American Diabetes Association.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Coming up here in just a few minutes, this Joe Biden video that was manipulated and then tweeted and retweeted by the White House and the President of the United States. We'll talk about that. And by the way, when I use the word manipulated, I'm not talking about the owner of the Patriots Craft. As the investigators said, he was manipulated when he went to that massage parlor. That's not the story I'm talking about. I just want to make sure I'm being clear on that. I'm talking about a video that was manipulated. See, when I know you have...
You're going down a very dangerous road there, my friend.
Well, it's not a dangerous wall. It's road. It's called Spring Mountain Road. Anyway, with that being said, let's talk to our news. I would say he's our newsman. He's a jack of all trades here.
Well, I'm not your newswoman, so yeah,
definitely
that's a good start.
Definitely not. It would be John Schaefer wearing his nice local sweatshirt. I like that. You're proud. You know how you have that song, I'm Proud to Be an American? If John Schaefer doesn't, I'm proud to be a Las Vegas local.
Exactly.
That's your song, John.
Yes.
What's going on, my friend?
Well, the Southern Nevada Health District has received a report of a second presumptive positive case of coronavirus here in Clark County. Health District's investigation is in the preliminary stages. The Health District says more information will be released today. The first case was reported last Thursday in a military veteran in his 50s who had recently traveled to Washington State and Texas. That person tested positive and was presumed to have COVID-19.
So this happened over the weekend?
Yes.
The second person, any evidence of where they came from? Have they released that yet? I know that takes a couple
later
days.
Today they'll have more information.
Gotcha. Okay.
Clark County School District facilities, including school and administrative buildings, will be given additional cleaning today in light of coronavirus. Today was already a planned day off for teachers and students. Friday, the school district said it was taking several protective measures to protect students, faculty, and staff against the coronavirus.
Are we going to see now that teachers are going to start wearing these masks? Is that what's next?
I hope not, because you guys already talked about it last week on the show about the effectiveness of masks and what they had and what kind of role they play when it comes to this coronavirus.
Yeah, masks don't work.
It's not something that is
coronavirus
preventative.
It's not going to give you diarrhea, and if you can't live on a couple rolls of toilet paper for 14 days if you're quarantined, then I want to know what your issue is that you need 700 pallets of it from Sam's Club.
I can absolutely, Brian, see John Schaefer trying to roll into Smith's and just be irate because he cannot get his 4-pack of toilet paper.
And
that he's
last
trying to
time
pick
I
up.
turned on my spigot at home, water came out too, so I don't need hundreds of bottles of water either.
For the record, let me just say, I did have diarrhea over the weekend, and it had nothing to do with the coronavirus.
Well, that's good, because we're in here with you.
Schaefer, go ahead.
Federal and state officials in California preparing to receive thousands of people from a cruise ship that has been idling off the coast of San Francisco with at least 21 people aboard infected with coronavirus. Personnel covered head to toe in protective gear Monday woke up passengers on the Grand Princess to check whether they were sick. Fences were installed at an 11-acre site at the port as authorities readied flights and buses to whisk the more than 2,400 passengers to military bases or their home countries for a 14-day quarantine. U.S. death toll from the virus reached at least 21. The number of cases worldwide soared above 110,000.
How'd you like to jump on that ship right now? Seriously, how'd you like to go on that ship and take a shower and sleep in a cozy bed and make yourself breakfast there? I mean, how'd you like to hang out on that ship?
Well, it's one thing to be quarantined in your own comfort of your own home or someplace where you actually have some space. It's another thing if you're in a 20 by 20 room on a cruise ship and you have to be there for 2+ weeks
with no fresh air.
No,
that does not
sound like fun.
That does not sound fun at all.
And I know you'll be discussing this topic coming up later today, but a Division III men's basketball NCAA tournament game at Johns Hopkins University, believed to be the first U.S. sport ever held without fans because of coronavirus, Yeshiva University beat Worcester Polytechnic Institute in an empty gym occupied only by players, referees, employees, and media members. An NCAA advisory panel says it's not recommending games be canceled or held without fans. The campus gym was heavily disinfected Thursday night and between games on Friday, and there were police officers outside and signs on the doors reading "No spectators."
All right, here's a question I have for Yeshiva University. You didn't want people in the gym watching your basketball game. Are you still inviting people into your synagogues? That's what I would like to know, because what the hell is the difference?
Right. It was Johns Hopkins that made the decision.
Oh, it was Johns
Not
Hopkins.
the schools that played,
Okay,
yeah, because
okay.
the game was being played at Johns Hopkins
But, like,
University.
if you're going to do that, then why not just close down every supermarket that has people? I mean, this is getting out of hand. This is ridiculous, okay? We have the flu. Last I checked, nothing was ever closed because of the flu. I'm sorry. I just think this whole thing is being over-dramatized. I get it. People are dying. But the people that are dying, correct me if I'm wrong, there's been one young individual that has died from coronavirus. The only people that have died, and listen, it's horrible. I wish they never contracted the coronavirus. But they're older people that have other health issues, the same types of people that have died from the flu. So why, as younger people, are we freaking out? Why are we saying, oh, we're going to have to close down this game? This is absurd. It doesn't make any sense to me. Am I wrong in thinking that? I mean, I care about these people. I don't want people to get the virus. But come on, man. This is getting completely out of hand. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right, spot on. And I don't understand how there's not reasonable or rational thinking going behind all of these decisions being made, right? Are there where is the educated individuals that are coming out? And look, this is a spot thing too, by the way. You know, it's one university here, or it's one gym here, or it's one league here. The NHL, for example, banning members of the media to go into locker rooms. All the other leagues aren't doing that.
That's absurd.
Right? So why is it, one person here, one organization here, one organization there?
Stupid.
Why is this a sweeping thing? If it's such an issue, right? If it's something we should be so concerned with, why is it just certain spots around the country where they're making a decision to do this? It doesn't make any sense to me, and it gives you an indication that this is more about panic than it is about the real information that we should have out there.
It's absurd.
They've already said a lot of people probably already have had the coronavirus and gotten over it, but their case was so mild they didn't know they had it. So
Exactly.
we all could have had it already and not known it. Well, 3 of the 4 of us.
That's true. But no, but in all seriousness, though, there are some people that have contracted the virus that said they were better within several days. These are younger people that were in good health. But
well, you made a good point, Brian, on Friday, where, look, if it's anybody like that has a decent immune system, it's any of us who are in an age range, usually, you think of 75 years or younger, that it's basically turns out to be a sickness that we can deal with, and it ends up passing. It's not something that, as we haven't heard all these stories about 35-year-olds or 40-year-olds dying from the coronavirus, and it's a very valid point. And so, look, it's not to poo-poo the individuals who have passed away around the world.
No, I'm not pulling
it's just an indication of what exactly we're dealing with here.
I'm not pulling a Matt Gaetz. It's not like I'm going to start wearing a gas mask to make fun of what he did, by the way. And then one of his constituents actually died over the weekend, and now he's feeling sorry for that person, yet he's mocking it. For anybody to mock the virus, all I'm simply saying is that we are making this a bigger deal than it should be. If you are at a certain age, you don't want to contract the flu any more than you want to contract the coronavirus. It's very simple. Yeah, if you are an older person or you have respiratory issues or your immune system is not doing very well, then you don't want to contract the coronavirus. It can be very serious. But for everyday normal people, a week or two, you're going to start to feel better. That is in every case of anybody that has contracted the coronavirus that is under the age of 70.
Yes.
So, I mean, look, that's what this whole thing boils down to. We're going to get more into this coming up in hour number 2. But, we're going to stick on the political spectrum coming up here. Joe Biden, a video manipulated, retweeted by the White House and Donald Trump. We'll get to that coming up next. John, always appreciate it when you come in, my friend.
Sure.
Thank you very, very much. As I mentioned earlier, we will be talking about Joe Biden and Don Jr.'s comments in regards to the coronavirus. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. This is the Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Leonard Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by CBS. Fire crews on a fire call at Charleston near Las Vegas Boulevard use an alternate to get around like Sahara or Maryland Parkway. Meanwhile, I-15 still exhibiting a light slowing pattern from this morning's rush hour. Delays are light, but there between Sahara and Tropicana, and on 15 northbound, light slowing past the Southern Beltway up to Spring Mountain Road. Stop by CBS today for a free prescription savings review. Visit cbs.com/RX savings for details and treat yourself well at CBS. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
This station is conducting a weekly test of the Southern Nevada, Inyo County, California Operational Area Emergency Alert System. This is only a test.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/search. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ziprecruiter.com/search. That's ziprecruiter.com/search. ziprecruiter.com/search.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro, and apparently it is 9 a.m. again. Welcome to
Brian, this is good. This show is so damn good that we're going to run it twice, baby.
We're rewinding 30
and
minutes.
Get the special intro both times. That's what I like to
Welcome
see.
back. Welcome back to the show. As I mentioned, coming up in hour number 2, we're going to have a very special guest. T. Matthew Phillips is his name, an attorney here in Las Vegas, who says the coronavirus was man-made in a laboratory. We'll see if he has the proof.
Really?
Yeah, we'll talk about that coming up here in a little bit. But I want to get to Joe Biden because this is a story that is very disturbing, and it is so telling of who and Donald Trump is and what the White House represents. So there's a video where Joe Biden is speaking in front of a crowd in Missouri. And in that video, the White House puts out a tweet, and this is exactly what it sounds like. So this is Joe Biden. Do we have that audio ready? Yeah, this is Joe Biden. Manipulated video. Okay, but I want you to listen to this, and then we're going to talk about this. Is Joe Biden in a video speech this weekend. This is what the White House tweeted out. Here it goes.
Turn this primary from a campaign that's about negative attacks into one about what we're for, because we cannot get reelected. We cannot win this reelection. Excuse me. We can only reelect Donald Trump.
Okay, so here's the problem with that. Many of legit outlets reported that as fact, that is what Joe Biden said. The White House tweeted it. Donald Trump retweeted it. Many nut jobs on the right were tweeting it, saying, oh, my God, it's senile Joe Biden. Well, guess what? This is exactly what Joe Biden said. We can only reelect Donald Trump if, in fact, we get engaged in this circular firing squad here. It's got to be positive campaign, so join us. Biden actually said that in his remarks.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said. So the White House manipulates this. They put it out on social media. The idiot in chief, Donald Trump, retweets it. We have people that are calling Joe Biden senile, particularly many people that are on Fox News, Brit Hume being one of them. We've had extreme people on the right. It's a joke and it's pathetic, but I will give some credit to Kurtz on Fox News, who has criticized his colleagues for suggesting Biden is senile. Have a listen to this.
I always criticize liberal commentators for saying things like President Trump is mentally ill and President Trump is psychosis and he's narcissistic and all that. So I do think it was unfortunate that some commentators on Super Tuesday, Brit Hume, Mark Thiessen, people I respect, said Joe Biden is senile or getting there. I mean, certainly he's forgetful and his memory lapses, and you can question his performance.
And let me tell you something. I'd rather have a president of the United States who's forgetful and has some gaffes than have somebody as the commander-in-chief that intentionally lies on a regular basis. Remember when Donald Trump talked about fake news and he talks about fake news? Well, guess what? That's exactly what this story is. So if you're one of those right-wing nut jobs that talks about CNN and fake news and MSNBC and the liberal media and fake news, well, guess what? You got to add this story to it because people were tweeting it. Legitimate news outlets were showing this video as fact that this was what Joe Biden said, that he said that we can only reelect Donald Trump. And the White House decides to retweet it. And the President of the United States decides to retweet it as fact. It is a lie. And you cannot tell me that the White House didn't know what the actual statement was of Joe Biden. And this should be called out. As much as some of you people on the right want to call out left-wing, networks like CNN, MSNBC, well, where are you this morning? Where are you this morning? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with the President of the United States tweeting this out as fact that Joe Biden said something that, in fact, he didn't say? Or the White House tweets this out? These are I don't even know what to say here. It's so ridiculous. It's an abomination. And we'll take your phone calls at 702-257-5396. Again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-257-5396. And for those of you on the right that are angry at those on the left that are calling Donald Trump, mentally ill, well, what do you think about those people on the right that are calling Joe Biden senile? There's no evidence to support the fact that Joe Biden is senile. He's an older man in his 70s, just like Donald Trump is. Yes, he forgets things. Yes, he has gaffes. Doesn't mean he's senile. No, it doesn't. 702-257-5396.
We are living in a world now, right, where facts don't matter anymore. We are living in a world where your political ideology dictates what your truth is. It is a very, very discouraging place to be in the discourse of the American public right now when we talk about politics and when we deal with politics in that manner, because it should not be based on what you believe as far as abortion. It should not be based on who you think should be president of the United States because of your politics. It should be based on factual evidence, things that are true, things that are actually happening in America. And unfortunately, Brian, that's just not the case right now. We have two, basically different parallels of reality that we're dealing with right now in America, and it's very disheartening and discouraging to someone like myself who wants to kind of take a step back and say, you know what, let's just address things as they should be and as they are factually are supposed to be, as opposed to what it is we wish they were or that we want to portray them as.
And by the
this
way,
is one more evidence. There's one more episode and evidence of that.
Yeah, and by the way, some more evidence that maybe Ben Carson is a moron too. We'll take your phone calls in a second. He was asked by George Stephanopoulos yesterday about the plan for this cruise ship docking in California. Listen to Ben Carson's response here. It is unbelievable.
The cruise ship personnel, and as you know, the Vice President met with the CEOs of the major cruise ship companies yesterday, and they are coming up with a plan within 72 hours of that meeting.
The ship's docking tomorrow.
The plan will be in place by that time, but I don't want to preview the plan right now.
Shouldn't you be able to do that?
I think it needs to all come from a solitary source. We shouldn't have 16 people saying what the plan is.
A solitary.
Okay.
Particularly when it hasn't been fully formulated.
Okay. Well, you're the president's representative this morning, but let me move on.
It's just unbelievable.
I mean, Brian, is this the incompetence that we are dealing with here? And look, it just more evidence that it's almost like we don't have adults running things right now. in Washington, D.C. It's almost like we have a bunch of adolescents that don't know how to put one foot in front of the other when it comes to important issues in America. It's embarrassing. It is absolutely, positively embarrassing the way that certain aspects of this pandemic, as well as a number of other things, are being handled. It's as if we do not have adults in the room. It's sad.
It really is. I agree with you. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Mike. Mike, you are first up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Good. What's on your mind, man?
Hey, I just actually have a question. So are you saying that the video that was retweeted, put out there as news, was it re-edited to sound like what he said?
It's not genuine. It's not real.
I'll respond to that, and I will say that it was the first 5 words in a sentence, and I read the actual full sentence. So absolutely, that's fake news. 150%. It was cut off.
The question is, was it re-edited, or did he really sound like that?
I just answered your.
If he really sounded like that.
Mike.
What's being made out by the video is just showing how he doesn't really. At times, he has
the video's not real, right, Brian? The
Mike,
video is not real.
Mike,
right?
The last sentence was cut off.
Yes.
Completely cut off.
Whether or not it was cut off, I'm asking, was it re-edited? Did he stumble all over his words?
All I know is 100% the last sentence was cut off. He was not saying that you need to reelect Donald Trump, but the White House made it that way, and they presented it that way, and so did the President of the United States. Because it sounded funny. All right, well let's listen to it again. Here's the audio. Okay. This is Joe Biden himself, and this was the manipulated video that was put out by the White House and Donald Trump. Here it goes.
Well, turn this primary from a campaign that's about negative attacks into one about what we're for, because we cannot get reelected. We cannot win this reelection. Excuse me. We can only reelect Donald Trump.
Okay. Now he went on after that. In fact, if we get engaged in this circular firing squad here, so that's an absolute manipulation. It does not represent what Joe Biden said.
It's not really manipulation. It's not really manipulation. He said those words. They just cut off a part of the sentence. What they're indicating there, though, is that he has difficulties articulating a thought. Every once in a while, he gets lost.
Okay, he's in his 70s, just like Donald Trump is, and I would say Donald Trump does the exact same thing. But I'm not going to go on the air today and say that Donald Trump is senile. I'm not going to go on the air today to say that I'm going to say he's a jerk because of the things he says, but I'm not going to say he's senile. Guess what? Joe Biden is in his 70s. Donald Trump is in his 70s. They both have done the same things in the past. But listen, Mike, here's the difference. And I think, hold on, Mike.
It wasn't manipulated.
Mike,
that's the point.
Mike,
it wasn't re-edited.
Well, it's kind of the same thing what happened with Gayle King and CBS with the Kobe Bryant interview, right? Where she.
No, that's completely different.
Why?
I'll tell you exactly why. Because that was a question that she asked, and they played it in its entirety, and it did represent the question and the answer. This is completely different.
All they did was take this out of context. They didn't include the entire. So it happens all the time in media, though. This is not a new thing.
Okay, but here's the thing that doesn't happen all the time. We usually don't have the White House and the President of the United States that is retweeting something to be fact when it is fiction, Mike.
No, okay.
Well, so unfortunately, we do, though.
This president is totally different, and I'm not a fan of this president. All I'm trying to say, though, is that you're attacking this as it was cut up to make him sound like an idiot. The truth is, he sounds like an idiot.
Oh, I completely disagree with you. What did he say in that statement that made him sound like an idiot? I just gave you the entire quote. Please tell me in this, and then hold on, I'll read it again to you because this is very important, and this isn't edited. This is the
act. Like he did.
I'm just going to read you the quote, okay? If he misused a word and he started over and he said, "Excuse me," I'm not gonna talk about that, okay? The bottom line is they sent out this manipulated video to make it look like he supports Trump, and the exact comment is we can only reelect Donald Trump if, in fact, we get engaged in this circular firing squad here. Now, tell me what is so ridiculous about that statement.
Because he didn't actually say those words.
No, yes, he did.
Well, no, you know, he didn't. What you, the problem you
have. He didn't even know where he was in the middle of the sentence. That's what's ridiculous.
No, the problem you have with it is that Joe Biden didn't make it sound as eloquent as Brian Shapiro just did on the air. That's the problem you have with it. You know, you have a problem with Joe Biden the way. Look, he does make gaffes. There's no question about that.
I have a problem with the way you guys are presenting that the right is trying to. Well, the right is. You're correct on that.
It happens.
All right. Well, thank you for making that point.
It's not the right. It's the Trump administration. It's the White House who put that out. It wasn't as if we're generalizing about the entire right.
Listen, the guy ended that phone call by saying, "Well, he just contradicted himself." Oh, wait a second. I guess you guys are right. Yeah, the right is. That's right. 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call, 257-5396. Let's go to Brady. Brady, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. Hey, Joe Biden, do you see he's even sniffing baby's hair now? The guy's got dementia so bad he doesn't know if it's his mother, sister, brother, or his cousin when he's talking to him. So there's no equivalent between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. The guy's got dementia.
Well, I heard a rumor that you were sniffing glue this morning. Is that true?
Oh, only Elmer's.
Yeah, what a shocker, Brady. Do you have anything else intelligent you'd like to say this morning?
And you know what? Joe Biden's going to be brought up on charges that you didn't think were true, Brian. Him and the Ukraine are like.
Yeah, that's really gonna happen, Brady. I'm gonna be waiting on. I'm gonna be waiting with bated breath to find out when these charges come down, because this is another investigation that's being put forth that's gonna absolutely have legs.
That's like
and it's
saying,
really gonna happen, Brady.
That's like saying you got straight A's in school, Brady. It never happened.
Who he is, do you?
Well, nobody knows who you are either. You're just some guy living in a hole somewhere. Nobody knows who you are. Who are you?
I'm a legend in my own mind.
Yeah,
brother.
well, okay, Brady. We appreciate the call. You certainly are a legend in what is stupidity. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. We're talking about this video. Yes, it was manipulated. And the reason why it was manipulated is because they didn't show the entire sentence that was used. They did not play the entire sentence. But we're not talking about right-wing conspiracy nuts. We're not talking about InfoWars that decided to retweet this to try to make Joe Biden sound bad. We are talking about the White House, and we are talking about the President of the United States. It is beyond inappropriate, and it is disgusting. Again, that number to call is 257-5396. Why don't we go to Paul? Paul, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Can you hear
Not
me?
much. Yeah, what's up, Paul?
Hey, nothing much. Hey, I just wanted to say I'm kind of shocked at the relentless attacks on our president. He may not be the greatest president, but it's just nonstop every 5 seconds.
Okay, well, let's be specific. Well, let's be specific here. We're talking about a specific issue, and in this situation, I'm talking about a Joe Biden video where it was manipulated. The White House sent it out, making him sound bad and not representing what Joe Biden said, and then the president decides to retweet it. That is specifically what we're talking about right now, Paul. Do you have a problem with that?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, how did the White House send it out?
They found the video and they sent it out
over
on social media.
How did they do that, though? The White House can't do that, bro.
Yes, they can. What are you talking about? They can and they did. There's proof of it. Just go to their official Twitter page. What are you talking about? Go to their official Twitter page.
Joe Biden's the one that goofed up, not the president. Why is it every time Joe Biden?
What are you? Excuse me, Paul. Can I just get something through your head?
Loser,
okay, Paul, that's fine.
He's not qualified to be president of the United States and lead our armed forces.
Excuse me.
No way.
Wait, Donald Trump is?
No, you got a radio station. Listen to me, bro. We hear your.
No, Paul, listen to me. You started out this phone call, Paul, by saying, he may not be the greatest president. That's not exactly an endorsement of Donald Trump. That's how you started this phone call, is by saying that.
That is exactly right. That's on level with the human race.
What kind of endorsement is that for Donald Trump?
Hold on, Chris, calm down for a
Dude,
second.
let me tell you.
Calm down. That's what we started the conversation with.
Let me tell you one thing, and then you can have your radio show back.
Oh, well, hold on. Pot him down for a second. Pot him down.
Yeah,
Paul,
it's not about having it back.
let me explain something to you, okay? I tell you when you can talk. I tell you when to be quiet, and we're going to have a radio show whether you call in or not. Now, I'm going to give you an opportunity to make your stupid statement. I will pod you back up in a second, but let me be very clear on this, okay? Because this is very important. You have no idea what you are talking about. The White House did put this tweet out there, and in fact, if you weren't such a dope, all you have to do is go to the official White House Twitter page, and you will see the video up there. And then you go to the president's Twitter page, and you will see his retweet of it. So you are factually incorrect. Now, if you don't like Joe Biden for whatever reason, that's fine. We can talk about that. That's fine. I don't have any problem with that. But if you're going to call into this show, you're going to call in with facts, or I'm going to hang up on you. And guess what? We're going to have, by the way, it's not our station, it's our show, okay? So let's be factually accurate there. Just because somebody does a radio show doesn't mean they own the whole station. So something else that you said that was stupid. So I'm going to pod you back up now, and as I pod you back up, Okay, so go ahead and finish your stupid statement, and we will still have our show, whether you call in or not. I just want to be very, very clear on that, Paul, okay? You sound like a really smart guy, but no, it's not cool. But go ahead, Paul. Say your stupid stuff. Go ahead.
Okay, here's my stupid stuff.
Can't wait.
If anything ever happens to the president, I will hold you responsible. And it's the last time
Thank you.
ever
That's
call me another name. Dude,
makes a lot of sense.
Okay, idiot.
Coming to see you, bro.
Okay, idiot. Bye-bye, idiot. Bye-bye, idiot. Bye-bye,
If anything
idiot.
happens to the president, we're holding
What a dumbbell.
the Vegas take responsible.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, big guy.
Yeah, that made
Paul.
absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Paul, I want you to listen very carefully since you like to threaten people on the air. I want to listen to you very carefully. Listen, I'm going to say it very slow for you, Paul, just so people like you can understand. You are an idiot, okay? Let me say that again. You are an idiot, all right? Very simple.
Yeah,
So,
I will say this. This is the third time you've been threatened in the last 4 business days for this show, Brian, which I think might be a new personal record for you. But Joe Biden, he did say what he said, and he didn't sound good saying it. It's hard to not admit that it's getting to the point where it does kind of seem like elderly abuse when Joe Biden is up there.
and by the way, I also
in my opinion.
Okay, well,
he doesn't sound eloquent. He does trip over all of his words. Obviously, I took that out of context, and that's a very classic Donald Trump move. I'm not a huge fan of the fake news narrative there, especially when you call someone else fake news and then you literally create fake news yourself. I have a problem with that hypocrisy. Yeah. But Joe Biden does not sound mentally there. And he hasn't sounded mentally there. Honestly,
neither does Donald Trump.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
He sounds better than Joe
No, he
Biden.
doesn't.
He may calculatedly, he may lie through calculation, but Joe Biden literally, Mr. X said this last week. Joe Biden, it's almost like he's just a deer in the headlights and he forgets what's going on entirely.
Well, I'll tell you
I don't
something.
think that happens with Donald Trump.
Well, I'll tell you something. I'd rather have a deer in the headlights, as you put it, and I wouldn't put it that way. I'd rather have somebody in office that isn't a scumbag liar like Donald Trump every day. We could have somebody who is mentally sharp and quick right out of the gates. But if it's somebody that lies every day and goes after women and POWs and that sort of thing, I'd rather have somebody like Joe Biden in office. I'm not a big Joe Biden supporter, but if we're going to go down that route, I'm sorry. I'm going to stick with Joe Biden on that one. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about Donald Trump Jr. As we recall, Donald Trump Jr. last week said that he felt that Democrats feel that millions of Americans would hopefully die, contract the coronavirus and die, so that Donald Trump would lose in 2020. Well, he did an interview on HBO Axios, which is a great show, and defending those comments. Listen to what Don Jr. had to say about that.
Do you regret saying that? Do you
Not at all.
that?
Not at all. Listen, I think I can talk about it, in hyperbole. I don't know that they want millions of people, but you could see them. There was nothing that Trump could do that could turn his response to coronavirus into, hey, he did a good job. By the way, I was also quoting an article in the New York Times. So this isn't some sort of left-wing blog. It's the New York Times that said we should call it the Trump virus. So I don't want to hear the sanctimony from these people on the left, saying these sorts of things because it's
not
nonsense.
sanctimony. Saying that people, you really think that they?
I'm entitled to speak.
You think is
I'm entitled to speak.
I really want people to die.
I'm entitled to speak with hyperbole, and I think that drives home the point of what I'm saying. I don't actually think that.
Hyperbole. Here's what's different about Don Jr. He happens to be the son of the President of the United States. So this isn't just some hack that's on Twitter or doing a radio show, whatever the case may be. This is the son of the President of the United States who was going on a national television show who was saying that he believes that Democrats want millions of innocent Americans to die. And now he's saying it's, hyperbole. And he's saying, well, I don't necessarily think that, but I have a right to say whatever I want. Well, yeah, you have a right to say whatever you want, but you also have a responsibility as the son of the President of the United States to say things that, wouldn't cause violence, wouldn't cause people to do harmful things. And I think the son of the President of the United States has that responsibility. This is not somebody on the sidewalk or somebody in a bar talking. This is Donald Trump Jr. And even though I think he's a complete moron, the bottom line is that he doesn't understand the distinction of what he says matters more than the average everyday human being. And the fact that he couldn't even, go out and say, no, I don't think that Democrats want innocent people to die. He couldn't even go that far as to say that is disgusting on his part.
No, what this amounts to, JD and Brian, is a textbook and par for the course Trumpy move, right? Which is not only do we not apologize, not only do we not show remorse for some despicable comment that we made, but what does he do, guys? He doubles down on it. He doubles down and has an explanation for why it is he said what he said.
He does love the
That
8-on-11.
is absolutely what the Trumps do. And so it's not a shock whatsoever for me that that's the route that Don Jr. took. Right, JD?
They love to double down on 11, always.
Yes.
Yep. and they all do it. The whole family does. The whole family has always done it. So you're right, Chris. It should not be a surprise. That being said, if the Times is trying to call this the Trump virus, to me, that's crazy too. That's way over the top.
Okay, well,
this isn't the Trump virus. It's COVID-19. It's a coronavirus.
Okay.
It's zootonic. It originated in China, for God's sakes.
Okay.
Donald Trump is the president of the United States.
So let me ask you a question: is there a politician in a powerful?
If that is
I'm
taking
asking you a
place,
question: is
then
there
that
a
needs to be
politician?
addressed
Is
as
there
well.
a politician in a powerful place of office that said that?
No,
Is there someone that's a prominent part of the Democratic Party?
I'm saying if Trump is what Trump is saying is true, and the Times
He said the New York Times
exactly.
said it.
Yeah, the New York Times is
a distinction.
is a major media outlet.
Okay, but
Brian.
hold on. Let me.
So to me,
hold on.
that's totally over
There's
the top
a distinction.
as well. I'm not talking about politicians here, but neither is Donald Trump
and I'm
Jr.
trying to,
He's not a politician.
And I'm trying to
so
make
that argument makes no sense.
Well, he said no, you did because he said Democrats.
I'm
Donald
trying
Trump
to
Jr.
make.
said Democrats.
Let me just speak here. I'm trying to make a very important distinction. While I don't agree with the New York Times saying that, there is a huge distinction. But let me finish. Can I finish my statement without you interrupting me?
How can you call COVID-19
You're doing
the
to
Trump
me. Okay, well,
virus?
you're not letting me finish my statement, so you're interrupting me, and it's very difficult for me to get my point across. When 5 words into a statement, you interrupt me. Can I finish my statement, please? Okay, it is a distinction between the New York Times saying that and the White House and the President of the United States. Do you understand that distinction? Do you understand how serious it is? The president, the New York Times.
Is that a real question?
Yes. Do you understand the distinction?
That's an honest question.
So why are you bringing up the New York Times then? We're talking about the President of the United States.
We're talking about Donald Trump Jr.
Yes.
He's not the president of the United States.
Son.
He's not the president. He's not even a politician. He is the first. He's one of two first sons or three first sons.
What the president's son said is far more important than what the New York Times says.
The New York Times has been around for what, 200 years?
They're not a politician. They're not as powerful as Donald Trump Jr.
Is a major media source.
Do they represent all Democrats?
And if they are calling, if they're
I
calling
think we're getting away from
coronavirus,
the source,
no, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
If they're calling the coronavirus the Trump virus, to me, that is way worse than I don't agree with.
But that's
it.
a
Brian,
separate thing.
How can you even have that? How can they possibly even create that that connection? I don't understand.
But JD, it's a separate thing as far as Donald Trump Jr. saying all Democrats want people dead because of the virus. Because they want, because they obviously don't want Donald Trump in the White House
Don Jr.
in November of 2020.
Let me just say this.
That's a different thing than what you're talking about with the New York Times and their what they say in their newspapers or in their editorial column. It's a different thing.
Let's try to grab one more quick phone call. Let's go to Paul. Paul, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Paul?
Hey, guys, you know what? Donald Trump is not more powerful than the New York Times or Donald Trump Jr. I mean, he only hears what Fox wants to put out on, and the New York Times has millions of people over decades. And I believe it. I'm not trying to sound like a crazy person, but what Donald Trump Jr. said is correct. The Democrats, if they cared so much about people, they wouldn't have torn apart the country to get him out of office.
Wait, so you think that Democrats want millions of innocent people to die?
And you think they tore the country apart? The Democrats did?
You don't think they did?
No, because I think Donald Trump is the one that is Donald Trump not the one that's in the White House? Is Donald Trump the one that didn't win the 2016 election? Are the Republicans not in charge of the Senate? Do they not have the White House? Why are Democrats the ones you're going to blame for the discourse in America right now? You're blaming the Democrats and not anybody in Donald Trump. You're not blaming Donald Trump at all. You're kidding. You're absolutely wrong, and you're killing me here.
Paul, we appreciate.
You're wrong, and you got a mute button.
All right, Paul, we appreciate the phone call. The only mute button was you, and that's why we just hung up. By the way, the number to call is 702-257-5396. Coming up next, he is an attorney, and he is a conspiracy theorist. I think that's fair to call him that. His name is Matthew Phillips, and he believes that the coronavirus was man-made in a lab. He's going to be joining us next. You're listening to the Vegas Take.
Would you get on an airplane if you knew it had a 50% chance of crashing? You may be riding that plane right now. If you have your money in a 401k or IRA and you plan to take out the recommended percentage each year when you retire, your chance of running out of money is 50%. 50%. But there's a better and safer way to secure your income in retirement. Discover how in a free book called Rescue Your Retirement. This wealth building strategy has never had a losing year in more than a century. In fact, even the man who invented the 401k now prefers this method instead. Get Rescue Your Retirement free for just a small shipping charge and enjoy a safe landing and a comfortable retirement. Get this free book and make sure you don't run out of money. Hurry, this offer is extremely limited. To get your free copy, just go to growwealthsafely.com. That's growwealthsafely.com to discover how to rescue your retirement. growwealthsafely.com.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Special report, markets plunge. Minutes after stock trading was halted because of the massive sell-off this morning, President Trump was on Twitter. Here's White House correspondent Bob Costantini.
The president tweets, Saudi Arabia and Russia are arguing over the price and flow of oil. That and the fake news is the reason for the market drop.
Stocks have recovered a little as we hear from correspondent Allison Cossack on Wall Street.
We did see stocks bounce off their lows, but why did they originally panic? Part of the panic was because of oil prices crashing over the weekend, tumbling 30%. That really spooked the markets because that could have a real ripple effect throughout the economy. That creates that layer effect of fear that already existed because of the coronavirus.
Oil has lost about 1/3 of its value today alone. It is the result of an oil price war between the Saudis and the Russians, but it could cause steep losses for American oil companies, leading to layoffs and even company bankruptcies. I'm Mike Moss. White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham tells Fox News Democrats are playing politics over the coronavirus.
I just want to stress to politicians and the media to stop using this as a tool to politicize things and to scare people. It's not responsible. This is not the time for this. People need to be looking to the CDC for guidance. People need to be, again, washing their hands, treating this like a flu, making responsible choices. This is absolutely not the time to be trying to scare people to gain political points or to get headlines.
President Trump will meet with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and other economic officials to weigh possible actions to stem the fallout from the widening coronavirus outbreak. The Trump administration, which has played down the threat posed by the outbreak, is now weighing a number of potential policy steps, including paid sick leaves for those who get sick. On Wall Street, the Dow was down 1630, the S&P down 176. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by USDEA 360 Strategy. An accidents with injuries reported at Ann Road at Grand Canyon Drive. Emergency crews are on scene. Expect slowing, possible lane restrictions, and a structure fire, Charleston at Las Vegas Boulevard. That's at an apartment building. Fire crews are with the scene right now. Expect delays to take an alternate route like Sahara or Maryland Parkway. Heroin, meth, and opioids grip our community. It's time to wake up Vegas and protect those you care about. Visit wakeup-vegas.com for resources to change lives. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
It's open enrollment season, and Medishare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google Medishare and see if it's a fit for you. Medishare, healthcare you can believe in.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Whether you enjoy classical, rock, or heavy metal, we all march to the beat of our own drummer or guitarist. That's why Views also offers you more ways to vape your way. It's available in 5 bold color options, 3 smooth tastes, and 3 nicotine levels. It's your vape, your way. Views, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited.
Hey Chuck, you've said before that the DLC has processed over 2 million applications. What about the folks who were denied?
Craig, I love this question, and the answer is simple. If you were denied a loan in the past and are still looking for a loan, before you go somewhere else and pay way too much, give us another shot. Everyone's situation changes. You may have a cosigner, a new job, a raise, who knows? But we would sure like the chance to try and help you out.
I'm telling you, it seems like my credit score goes up and down each month.
Another great point. We don't use a traditional credit score at Dollar Loan Center, so if your credit isn't great, we can still help. You don't even need a checking account, and we give you longer to pay back.
That was Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center, where you can get up to $5,000 in just minutes. We have over 50 locations, or you can apply over the phone or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed by Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Customer must meet the normal loan qualifications. To review loan qualifications, visit us at don'tbebroke.com. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
For over 20 years, Wheel of Fortune slots have paid out more than $3 billion in jackpots and made over 1,000 millionaires. Play Wheel of Fortune today. Wheel of Fortune is a registered trademark of Caliphone Production Incorporated. All rights reserved.
I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortero. We want to thank you for making News 3 your #1 choice for news.
Every weeknight at 11, you can count on us to have the big story of the day.
Plus breaking news that matters to you.
Jim Snyder and Marie Mortero. News 3 live at 11.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, hour number 2. Sharp and Shapiro, also joined in studio by Winn.
What's up?
Coming up here in just a few minutes, we'll be joined by attorney Matthew Phillips, who says that the coronavirus is man-made and it was made in a laboratory. That's right. He's going to be joining us in a little bit. Speaking of the coronavirus, we talked about this last week. DUI Matt, also known as Matt Gaetz, walked into the House chambers with a gas mask on, mocking what this coronavirus is. He wore this enormous gas mask during a House floor vote on this emergency funding package for the coronavirus response. Now the congressman announced that a resident in his northwestern Florida district has died of the coronavirus. Gaetz said in a statement that he was extremely saddened to learn of the first fatality in our district. His message followed the Florida Department of Health's announcement late Friday that 2 residents had died of the disease, pushing the U.S. death toll now to 17 that night. Don't we have a responsibility as politicians to act in a professional manner, number one, and number two, to make light of this disease, of this coronavirus that has killed people? And he thinks it's funny, and he's trying to get attention. Well, I got to tell you something. I got to back Bobby Rush. If you don't know who Bobby Rush is, he's a Democrat who in 2012 wore a hoodie on the House floor to make a statement about the deadly consequences of racial profiling. And he tweeted out, well, on Wednesday, Matt Gaetz wore a gas mask in the chamber, making light of an epidemic that has killed 14 Americans. He contrasted how the congressman's behavior went unchecked to his own removal from the House floor back in 2012 when he wore this hoodie to protest racial profiling in the wake of the fatal shooting of Trayvon Martin in Florida. And listen, we can get into the weeds as far as that's concerned, but Representative Rush was not mocking anybody. Representative Rush was not poking fun at anybody or having a laugh. He was addressing a serious issue, I believe, which is racial profiling. It does happen every day in this country. So my question to you is, why is Matt Gaetz not being removed from the floor when he wears something like that? Why is Matt Gaetz not being criticized as much as he should for the idiotic things he says on a regular basis and now poking fun at the coronavirus? Make no mistake about it. That is why he wore that ridiculous mask into the House chambers, to mock the disease, to mock what is going on. And there's something very, very, very wrong about that. And now he puts out a statement saying how sorry he is that one of his own constituents has now died of the coronavirus. I wonder if he would still wear that mask. Of course, the answer would be no. So that tells you right there why he wore the mask in the first place, for making light of something, for trying to draw attention to himself. And it is utterly disgusting, is it not?
I look at this and I say to myself, careful what you wish for if you're going to act in this manner, if you're Matt Gaetz, and then one of your constituents obviously comes down and ends up passing away from this. There is a big difference between what Matt Gaetz has done and some others do when it comes to mocking the situation than what someone like myself has done, where I say, look, we need to exercise caution. I'm not out there mocking it. I'm not out there making fun of the disease. But I also am pointing out that, look, it is not something we should be panicking over in the United States of America at this point. There's no question that there's been a number of deaths, right? And we have pointed out, ad nauseum as to the group of Americans that are susceptible to passing away to this disease. But I'm not in any way been trying to mock it or make fun of the situation. It's a certain line that you're not expected to cross. And Brian and JD, in the past, right, politicians would have got lambasted for this, right? You would have lost your career over stuff like that. Because now we're in the Trump era, it almost seems like stuff like this, it goes by the wayside. Brian, you're bringing up, whether or not he should be removed from the floor, whether or not he should be criticized. It's just the era that we live in, isn't it, guys, in American politics?
Well, and the issue is
stuff like this is going to get, I'm not going to say swept under the rug, but it just doesn't get made as big a deal as it used to when you act this way as an American politician.
I think that Matt Gaetz did that because Donald Trump made this statement about it being a hoax, not the virus itself, but the way the virus was how the left-wing media used the virus to say that the Trump administration wasn't handling it or wasn't getting it taken care of. I think that's why Matt Gaetz did that. But it's interesting to me because, yes, I'm 34 years old. The virus is most likely not going to affect me, but I've talked to a couple of pretty prominent doctors, and I've been told verbatim that this could be just basically a death wish for the elderly and infirmed. So, and you would assume that Caucasian, elderly, infirmed adult males or females across the United States, the majority of those would be voting for Donald Trump. Would you not assume that? So it's kind of an interesting oxymoron to me. It's a bit ironic that Matt Gaetz, for example, whose constituents, I would assume that the majority or a good amount of constituents in his area probably are those who would be susceptible to this particular virus, and a lot of Donald Trump supporters are as well. So I'm not sure why that's not being taken into account.
Well, you're going to have to ask Matt Gaetz that. He's an idiot.
The reasoning why. You have to ask Matt Gaetz the reason why. You're and JD, look, you put forth what you believe he thought he was doing there, or what his motivation was. But as far as Matt Gaetz, we need to know exactly.
Clearly joking, obviously.
Yes,
and yes,
which is beyond inappropriate.
Right. I totally agree with that, and I'm not a big fan of Matt Gaetz. I mean, when he was in Florida and he created that game where you get points if you sleep with the opposite sex who happens to be married, and there's like a scale. I mean, obviously Matt Gaetz
is not a very intelligent person.
He's obviously not very smart. He's in politics because he kind of looks the part. He's relatively eloquent, but I would not be angry if he was removed from politics very soon.
Well, I'll argue that. I don't think he's eloquent at all. I think he's a right-wing conspiracy theorist idiot. He's a skinnier, better-looking version, of Mr. InfoWars himself. I mean, I think that's what this guy is. He loves attention. He's an attention whore, for lack of a better term. That's why he wore that mask. He wore that mask because he wanted the attention. He knew that it would make headlines and he's doing it while people are suffering. He's doing it while his own constituents are suffering. He's making light of a very bad situation by wearing this mask in the House chambers. And he's doing it while people are in a lot of pain, while people are suffering. These people that are dying, they have families. And then one of your own is in House chambers making light of this situation. I mean, this is, to me, it's unprecedented to have anybody in office, an elected official, act or behave in this way. If he wants to do this in his own home, let him do whatever the hell he wants to. But the fact that you're voting on something involved with the coronavirus, that there's actually a vote to help people, and he's making light of the situation, the guy should be thrown out of office immediately, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, especially, Brian, in light of the fact that he is a representative in the state of Florida now. My parents are both, in that category, in the risk category, where they're in their 70s, and they live in Florida. So you have a lawmaker representing in Florida where there is a large, obviously, elderly population, right, or senior citizen population that is susceptible to this virus that is out there. There's a lot of concern in that state. People are scared, whether it's right or wrong. And look, from what the information that we've gotten, it is absolutely justified that people in that age range from 65 and over should be concerned about what's going on here. I'm concerned, obviously, because both my parents are there, and it's something that I think about. But you're Matt Gaetz. You're representing people in that state. You would think that there would be much more consideration, I guess, being made by Matt when it comes to even considering joking about a situation like this.
Especially a state where tourism is so strong, and a lot of
Another good point,
of elderly do retire there.
Yeah.
All right, we got to take a quick break, and when we come back, attorney Matthew Phillips will be joining us. He says that the coronavirus is man-made, and it was made in a laboratory. We're going to ask if he has any proof of that. Coming up next, you're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you: printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-501-3689 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-501-3689 for your free author submission kit. Again, 800-501-3689.
Hey, cyber criminals stole the W-2 forms from my friend's company.
Yeah, scammers impersonate CEOs in email and also launch attacks from compromised accounts.
What if they target us?
Don't worry. We have Barracuda Total Email Protection.
So we're secured?
Yes. Barracuda protects businesses of all sizes with artificial intelligence that blocks spear phishing, account takeover attempts, and business email compromise.
That's a relief.
Protect your business at barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
Imagine crossing a street busy with traffic. Against the light.
Watch where you're going!
Wearing a blindfold. Would you do this? Probably not. It's one risk obviously not worth taking. Some risks aren't as obvious, yet could be just as deadly, like the risk for type 2 diabetes. If you're overweight or over 45, if you're not very active, or don't eat as healthy as you should, there's an easy test you can take to find out your risk. It's free, and in less than a minute, you'll know if you're at risk for this deadly disease. Just go to diabetes.org/take-the-test or call 1-800-DIABETES. Because type 2 diabetes is one risk you can't afford to take. Take the diabetes risk test and stop diabetes before it stops you. A message from the American Diabetes Association.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. We got Winn in studio. It is a Monday. Talking a lot about this coronavirus. How serious is it? Where did it come from? Well, the man we have with us in studio right now, his name is T. Matthew Phillips. He's an attorney here in town, and he has been very outspoken. He's actually even written an article about this, how he believes that the coronavirus is not only man-made, but was made in a laboratory. Mr. Phillips, first of all, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm doing terrific. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
I apologize for the wardrobe malfunction earlier.
Oh, that's okay. I didn't
But we're
see
good
that.
to go.
Thank God. Don't be afraid to speak into the microphone. By
Oh,
the
no,
way.
we got
So,
it. I'm
okay,
ready to
we're
rock
good.
here, so let's
All
go.
right. So, why do you think it was man-made? Number one, and where is your evidence to support the fact that it was made in a laboratory?
The patent office proves it. All you got to know is that the virus is totally patented.
And how do you know that?
Because you go to the U.S. Patent Office. Just go to patentoffice.com or I guess .gov or whatever
Okay, so
it
for
is.
people that don't know what you're talking about, what does that mean?
Oh, well, let me explain here. We live in a nation, I think I mentioned that in the article, I can't remember, but it starts off kind of ominously. If you read the article and it says, imagine living in a world, or a country where disease-carrying pathogens are considered inventions. And They are. We live in that world, you know. These pathogens called, you know, the viruses and so forth, they're all patented. People may be surprised to learn, but it's the truth. The coronavirus is patented. In fact, there's about 36 different varieties of coronavirus that are patented, and you can actually buy them online. And you could take it, I suppose, and like throw it in the air system at the Sands Hotel or the Stardust.
Okay, but let's not get into the weeds here. Let's be specific to this. You say it's patented.
It is patented. There's 36 of them.
By
yes.
who? By who?
It's I'm not sure who owns it. It may be owned by Dow Chemical or maybe owned by Hughes Aircraft.
Okay, but you understand why I asked that question. If you're
it's
saying
patented,
that a disease is patented, but you
yes,
can't come up with the people that patented it, then it's hard for me to believe you.
Well, unless you're that lazy and don't have the time to go to Google or something like that.
I'm asking you right now.
Okay, no, it's all good.
Brian is very lazy.
Where was the coronavirus patented?
I don't have it committed to memory. But trust me.
Isn't that important, though, to know? If listen,
not really.
With all due respect, Mr. Phillips.
Okay, let me interrupt. I'm just
right.
going to say, okay, if you can name a virus, it is patented. I don't care if it's the MRSA virus, the bird virus, the Legionnaire's virus, the Ebola virus, the Zika virus, measles virus is patented. All of these viruses, the rubella virus is patented. If you can name a virus, it is definitely patented. There are hundreds and hundreds of them.
But what you
I
are
don't
saying
have them
is very
committed
serious.
to memory.
But what you are
I know
saying,
what's going on.
what you are saying is very serious. You're saying that somebody did this on purpose. And in layman's terms, that's what you're saying.
Yes,
so when
absolutely.
Okay, that's
Wake
fine.
up.
Okay, that's fine. But when you make a claim like that, which is a very serious claim, you have to have evidence to back it up. And I'm asking you what your evidence is.
Wait a second. That's
Just
like
the fact that it's
question.
patented wouldn't make it evidence, though, right?
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
Just the fact that it's patented wouldn't make it evidence that it's some type of man-made virus in some type
that's
of
a good question.
laboratory.
I actually consider myself well-versed in patent law.
Okay.
Now, if you wanted to go, say you found an orange. You go, oh, look, here's this orange fruit here. I want to get a patent for it. Can you patent an orange? No, you can't because it exists in nature. What if you found a poodle? Go, oh, I want to patent this poodle, and then the poodle will have babies, and I'll make royalties on the baby poodles. Well, the poodle already exists in nature. In order to get a patent on something, it has to be, in the language of the patent law, a substantial improvement over the prior art. So if you have an invention like a cotton engine and you call it a cotton gin and your name is Eli Whitney, you can get that patented. But inventions are something that are patented. So the very fact that these things are patented means that they are ipso facto man-made. Now, if you want to do like a graphic where maybe the producer can pull up, the website, we can scroll through it together.
He's lazy. He won't do that.
I can show you where they're at. I mean, trust me, the viewers that are out there, just go to Google and hit the word coronavirus and U.S. Patent Office, and you see it's patented.
Okay. So, Mr. Phillips,
yes.
I get it. You're saying that the coronavirus is patented.
Yes.
You're saying go on
man-made.
Google. But
It's
I'm going to
invention.
ask you the same question again because this
here
is
we
a
go.
very, very important question. Now, it is well, this is important. I don't think we should make light of this. This is important. You're making a very serious accusation. Now, I get it. It's your opinion. That's fine.
It's
You're
not an opinion. It's patented. It is patented.
Okay, so you need to tell me then, with all due respect, where it was patented. Who patented it? What country?
Look it up.
Where? What do you mean look it up? If I look it up, I'm not going to be able to find it.
The reason we're asking you is because you're the authority on this. You're the one that's bringing this forward.
This is ridiculous what you guys are doing here. There's
Wait,
a computer
what
there.
do you mean
Look
it's
at-
ridiculous?
No,
It's
it's
not.
not. You are just, okay, who was the 23rd president of the United
What
States?
does it have to do with
you
the
have it memorized?
coronavirus?
There's nothing to do with
You're
it.
claiming-
Not anymore
you're
than who
claiming-
the name is.
hold on a
okay,
second.
Let me call time out because you're robbing your listeners trying to play a gotcha moment because you don't think I have evidence.
We're just posing questions to you.
No,
It's not a gotcha moment.
No, it's an easy search. It's an easy search. Go to Google, U.S. Patent
All right, now,
Office coronavirus.
are you saying-
You can do it right
No,
now.
but we
It'll exist.
have
It's
to
out
take
there.
this apart a little
It's
bit,
in the
Mr. Phillips.
website.
Here, we have to break this down because
Ask
this
me
radio show,
questions,
we're
not
trying to
about
inform
proof.
people that aren't as
You can
informed
just
as
look-
you and I are
Why don't you
on this.
let me tell you what's going on, okay? Well, your viewers can look it up because it's easy to look
They
up.
can-
It's
they
like
can look
saying-
it up, but
it's like, what's the address of the White House? I don't have it
Well,
memorized. You can look it up.
All
I
due
guess it's
respect, Mr.
1600
Phillips,
yeah.
if they can just look
No
it up, why are we
respect, no
having you
respect.
on the show to talk about it? If they
Because-
can just go and
because I'm
Google
not
it, why would
talking-
we want to get information from
okay,
you?
Let me tell you
Or
exactly,
from me,
okay.
or from Brian,
Let's
or from
start again.
JD.
Let's start again, okay. We're not going to talk
I'm
about
asking a valid question.
No, you're not asking a valid
Yes.
question.
What
Let me tell you
did
what's
I
really
do
happening.
here?
I'm going to tell you guys what's really happening, okay?
Okay, what's
There's
what's
something
happening?
called the Hegelian dialectic.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know what that is.
Does anybody
including
know
myself.
by show of hands? Is this
I
got
have
a
no idea
woke
what that
crowd
is.
here?
I
The
don't. What
Hegelian
is that?
dialectic in plain English is something called the problem reaction solution formula. It's as old it's mentioned in the book by Niccolo Machiavelli, if you know about the book The Prince. It's
Okay,
an
you
ancient
have to
technique.
understand.
The
All right,
problem
you have
is
to
this.
understand, the
The
layperson
government
doesn't
creates
know
a
what you're talking
problem.
about, so you have to
The
explain
government
it.
creates a problem, okay?
Yeah.
The problem is they pretend that a vaccine is escaped or somebody ate a bat in China.
So the U.S. government created this problem, is what you're saying?
I'm saying that whoever created it, somebody behind it, I don't know.
It came out
The
of China,
government-
out of the
okay.
Wuhan
Right.
district
and then,
in
and
China.
then the entire
That's where
mass
it
media starts going,
originated.
oh my God, there's a corona coming to get us.
All
Oh
right.
my God, corona, everybody better wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Oh, the question I'm sorry.
So what does it have to do with
I
patent?
I do have a
So I
question.
don't
So you
understand why
said
they
that
have a
there's
patent
36 patents for coronavirus.
Yes.
And coronavirus, all it means is a virus that's surrounded by a crown. This virus is COVID-19. Is there a patent for COVID-19?
COVID-19 is the name they gave us, the name the media gave.
Now,
I don't
is,
think
now
this-
is the name
I don't know if that's
is the
I don't
name
know if
applied
that's
to the
right.
same patent for the coronavirus? Because again, coronavirus is just the type of virus. COVID-19 is the actual
name. It's
is
a
the
name.
actual
Is the name
is the
the
actual
CDC
name of the
and
virus
US
that everyone else
AMRID
is
and
applied
those
to.
It's like a
gave the virus.
nickname. I don't think anybody's patented that one. But here's what's going on.
But you can
What
patent the
people need-
process as
Let me
well,
tell you what
right?
people need to. Yes, processes can be.
Yeah.
That's a very good call. Let me tell you what people need to know is that they used to confirm cases of an outbreak, but they don't confirm anything anymore. Now they have presumptive cases. Y'all should be now. I don't have proof of this anywhere, but if you look online and read the stories, they used to say confirmed cases of measles. Now they say presumptive
I've seen that.
cases because they're not really looking. See, this is why I'm so critical of the whole coronavirus thing, because they're not actually testing for the coronavirus. When somebody supposedly has it, they never actually say, oh, there it is. I see the crowns on the perimeter right around the capsid. I see it. Oh, there it is on the envelope. Nobody actually looks at coronavirus under a microscope, and that's a sure sign
I will tell you
of
this.
a conspiracy.
I've seen 10 to 15 images.
Yeah,
that
they just
where
take, they take stock images.
So you
They
said
just
that
take
the
stock
images aren't
images
real?
and call it virus. They just make up stuff
Okay,
all
so
day
hold on.
long.
Let me ask you a question.
Absolutely,
you like to talk
But
about
let me
Google.
Finish,
If
let me
you-
finish
if you-
the story. I'm not quite done because it gets really good. Okay, when they go to
It's
test,
already quite good.
They don't actually test to see if the virus is there. What they're looking for is a shadow of the virus. They're trying to look for are
Hold
there
on, guys.
antibodies. There's
Hold on.
no way to prove
So let me
if
ask you a
anybody
question,
has
Mr.
coronavirus
Phillips.
unless they look under a
You're
microscope, and they're not doing that.
All right, hold on. So, Mr. Phillips, I want to make sure I state your opinion correctly. So you're
Not
saying,
gonna, I know you're going to get it wrong, but let's
okay,
see
well,
it.
let me try to give it a shot.
Okay, I'll give you a
you're
best shot. Okay.
You're all over the place, so it's tough
Yeah.
for me. But I want to zone in on what you
Okay.
just said.
Okay.
You're telling me someone goes into a hospital,
yes,
and they have symptoms that could be the coronavirus.
Like they have a
Hold
runny
on,
nose
I
and maybe a
understand.
fever, like what we call the common
I
cold.
understand.
Right.
So
Okay.
my question is, you're saying
yes
that you believe these doctors are not actually testing people?
I'm telling you they don't.
So how do they know
don't-
they have the virus then?
Because that's what the media says. They put in a teleprompter.
So
and
these
someone
people
would
that
die.
died,
Yes.
So
Whether or
these
not
people.
they have
So
it.
you're saying these people?
Yes.
Hold on, Chris. You're saying these people that have died of the coronavirus?
Nobody's died
didn't-
of any coronavirus.
What are you
That's
talking
the dumbest
about?
thing in the world. Let me ask you this: when you hear, do you believe everything Anderson Cooper says and say, "Oh my
This
God,
has
the
no-
media"?
hold on.
Anderson
Do you
Cooper.
say like, "Oh
Yeah,
my
we're
God,
not
I believe the
Hang
media"?
hang
every
on.
single thing. That's like
Hold on. You're
No.
telling me that the people who are
how many people you met died of coronas? How many people you know got
there
it?
have been 17
How
people
many
in
of
the
you met?
country. That's
How many of you
academic.
met?
22.
How many of you
Been 22,
met?
Brad.
And
It's now
meanwhile-
22.
Yes.
Meanwhile,
God,
how many?
I'm sorry I didn't know any of
meanwhile,
these people personally.
22
What does that mean?
Meanwhile-
3,200 worldwide.
No, so are you?
3,200
Okay,
worldwide.
7 people have presumptive case of a runny nose and a sore throat. Meanwhile, like 1 in 22 kids is diagnosed with autism, and nobody cares.
What do you mean nobody
22
cares?
vets
Of course we
kills them.
care.
No, not like they do. Listen what happened. The problem is the government or whomever, the vaccine people, Merck, Pfizer, GlaxoSmithKline, Novartis, Sanofi, Pasteur, Johnson & Johnson,
That is quite the list there.
pharmaceutical cartel gets together and say, let's create a problem and scare the hell out of everybody because fear is the motivator. The next thing you know, they get the people begging for vaccines. Oh, please, government, help us. Keep us safe from terrorists. Keep us safe from viruses. Next
right,
thing you know,
well, here's what
solution.
I'm gonna do.
Wait. The punchline is
We-
here.
This
$8.3
isn't
billion
funny.
in funding. It's all about getting money. Problem, reaction, solution. Get $8 billion.
right.
Milk it out of the taxpayer. Then it's strippers and cocaine and downhill from there. I mean, problem, reaction, solution.
All right.
$8 billion.
So I want to
Wake
give
up.
you. I want to
Wake
give you.
up.
I want to give you another.
JD, that was
we're up-
quite the diatribe
Chris,
right there
Chris,
that we
that was
just
I haven't
Guys,
even got
guys,
started yet. You
impressive.
guys don't let me get going here.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Here's what I want to do. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I'm going to give you a little bit more of an opportunity to explain this.
Give me a narrative
I'm gonna-
without the question.
Okay.
Because you really can't. With
Well-
all due respect, I hate to say that because it's always going to be a cut down. But with all due respect, you don't know enough to ask
Okay.
a proper
It's
question.
radio.
So
We
let me
ask
say a
questions,
narrative.
though.
Just give me a narrative.
We're going to do another segment, but with all due respect, you're not going to tell me how to interview you. If you'd like to stick, hold on. No, I'm being serious now. This is not.
He's one of the best interviewers in the business. So he's pretty good at it.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
I would. You're glad. You're welcome to stick around for another segment. You're not going to tell me how to interview you. Okay? Okay? Don't tell me how to do an interview. I've been doing this for 20 years.
That being said, sir, I have some pretty good questions for you myself.
So we will ask you questions when we come back. With all due respect to you, we are going to conduct the interview that we want to. If you want to step out in the middle of an interview, you're more than welcome to do that. But that's what we're going to do. We're also going to take some phone calls. 702-257-5396. Again, the number to call if you want to be a part of this conversation. 702-257-5396. We have attorney T. Matthew Phillips in studio. He says the coronavirus doesn't even really exist. People aren't dying from the coronavirus. He said not one person he believes has died from the virus. He thinks it's a farce. We will ask him more about this when we come back. We're going to take a quick break. 257-5396. You are listening to The Vegas Take.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Dell. Fire crews on scene for a structure fire at Charleston near Las Vegas Boulevard. Expect some slowing in the area, possible barricades, or take an alternate and avoid slowing. You could use Sahara or Maryland Parkway instead. And also an accident reported at Tenaya Way at Rome Boulevard. No injuries reported there. Save up to 45% during Dell's semi-annual sale on business laptops and desktops with Intel Core processors. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-BUY-DELL or visit Dell.com/businessdeals. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Whether you enjoy classical, rock, or heavy metal, we all march to the beat of our own drummer or guitarist. That's why Views also offers you more ways to vape your way.
It's your friend Sean Hannity here. You know, investing in real estate around this great country is something that I take very seriously. Now, I have seen firsthand the importance of working with and trusting the advice of an agent that actually live in the market and have proven track records of making sellers money in that city. So contact the agent I personally trust, Rick and Terry Brinkus of Keller Williams Realty, the marketplace. And Rick and Terry have averaged over 250 sales per year. Now get this, for 25 straight years. Now they understand the headache and the stress that comes with selling a home, and they know how to eliminate the drama. In fact, they can help set a price and a deadline you agree to. Now if that deadline passes, they will buy your home. Real estate mogul and Shark Tank star Barbara Corcoran only recommends Rick and Terry Brinkus in Las Vegas. And if I needed to sell a home in Southern Nevada, well, no question, I'd call the Brinkus team. Call the Brinkus team today at 702-456-5959, online at thebrinkusteam.com.
License number BS 16186.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, joined in studio by Winn and T. Matthew Phillips. He's an attorney. He says the coronavirus was man-made, yet he's saying that it has not killed anybody. So we're taking your phone calls on this as well. You can ask him a question. Maybe you agree. Maybe you disagree with him. That's the beauty of this show. That's what we do. The number to call is 702-257-5396. Again, that number is 257-5396. Why don't we start off with Robert? Robert, you are next up on the Vegas Take. Robert, are you there? Did we lose Robert? Go ahead, Robert. Yeah, go ahead, Robert.
Okay, there we go. Okay, yes. So I just left the UNLV School of Medicine, and I have a contact that I'll be reaching out to that manages the Mountain West states of the universities. They got a grant to study things.
It must be a doctor.
I just went to Nebraska, because they have the center there, the containment center. We've brought samples of our nano solution. We break silver down to the smallest possible particles, 20 nanometers. And silver has always been an antiseptic and a disinfectant. Pioneers going across the fruited plain used to throw silver dollars in their water barrels. It just works. And it's already approved by the EPA, and it's already approved by...
So, Robert, I'm sorry to interject, but I'm just doing it because of time constraints, sir. So do you agree or disagree with this attorney, Matthew Phillips, who says this is man-made and it's not killing anybody? What would you say to him?
Well, I would say that it probably is man-made. in the level 4 labs in Wuhan that it got out because they
How did it get
are
out?
sloppy.
How did it get
Well,
out?
they-
Knowing viruses do not mutate, they don't move anywhere. They have no legs. They don't swim. How do viruses get out?
Here's how it got out. They're using interns, and the interns are following the protocols. They also have a tendency to.
So
sell
wait.
their
You're saying that they're hiring interns to take the coronavirus and put it into the air system in the local Wuhan Sheraton, and they get people sick? I mean, when you say that interns, be more
No.
specific.
Yeah, so they use interns from the local university to assist with their level 4.
Robert, I have to
biocontainment
interject.
lab.
Forgive me, I have to interject. Do you have any evidence to back up that claim?
Sure, I do.
What is it?
And they also take, and it's well documented that they take their test animals after they die.
Well, where's your
Well,
evidence?
it's not well documented because we would all know about it if it's well documented, right?
Well,
I mean,
Robert, with all due respect, what evidence do you have that you can share with us right now that interns put this virus out there and it was man-made? What specific evidence do you have? Because I would imagine you must have specific evidence if you would make a claim like that. So can you tell us what that evidence is?
Sure. My evidence is that I have been trying now for 3 weeks. I put 29 calls into the CDC. I got one return call. I said I have nano solutions that absolutely will take and kill MERS, Hammerbacher, Ebola, everything. Every virus there is on contact.
How do you kill a virus if it's not alive? Viruses are not
Okay,
alive. Explain the mechanism by which you kill a virus.
I've had just about enough of Robert. I just asked him for evidences, and evidence was 29 calls he made to the CDC. That was his evidence. That 702-257-5396.
Can I explain who Robert is? Robert is one of those kind of guys who wants to pretend to be a conspiracy to make the legit conspiracy theorist, I can't say it, sound stupid.
We'll get
that
there.
guy was an idiot, okay?
We'll get
you got to
there.
ask a legit conspiracy theorist what's going on. You know what I mean?
Well, I think if you're a legit conspiracy theorist, you have
viruses,
to have
but does everybody know
100%
viruses are
proof.
not alive? Does anybody
I
think
did not know
viruses
there
are
were levels
alive?
of conspiracy theorists.
Let's
Does
take
anybody
another
know
call.
anything about viruses? Anybody here?
Yes, I do. I've had a few myself. Let's go to Christy. Christy, you're next up on the Vegas Take. You're on with attorney Matthew Phillips. Go ahead, Christy.
Hey, guys. So I wanted to call in, and I'm actually a fan of T. Matthew Phillips. I did read his article that he did on Corona, but there were some things that he had mentioned, and I wanted to kind of share my point on it. He said that nobody has died from Corona, and I want to say that I agree because Corona in itself is just a cold virus. Now, what people are dying from is pneumonia or like respiratory infection. And what happens is these people are sick and they're not taking care of themselves. And they're not essentially dying from corona, but they're dying from, just being sick people.
So when doctors and people,
medical
experts actually put out reports, and
which we are not, right?
You mean like
none
the
of-
and
pharmaceutical
which she is not.
advertising?
Hold on,
the caller's
hold on.
not either.
Let me just
right?
finish the question, please,
Yeah.
before I'm interrupted by 7 people. When these doctors actually put out reports and say that not only did they contract the coronavirus, but they died because they caught the coronavirus, and they're putting that out publicly, are they just lying?
What I believe is that there is this media thing going on where they want to put a lot of fear propaganda. They're trying to create...
I didn't ask you about the media. With all due respect, Christy, I asked you about the doctors. I didn't ask you about the media.
I know. Well, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
What I think is they're all just in on it, and what they're trying to do is scare the people to create a want, a desire for a vaccine, which we, in my opinion, is poison. So what they're just spreading.
So vaccines are
propaganda. I
poison?
don't believe that they're accurate. And T-Matt did mention that they're not testing for corona. If you look at what they're doing, they really are just saying if people have a fever. And then I saw Inside Edition did a video where this guy was in the hospital with corona, and the guy asked, how are they treating you? And he just held up a
All right,
bottle
well,
of
hold on.
Gatorade.
I understand.
You know?
I want to just make sure I got your opinion right here. So you're saying all the doctors and everybody in all the hospitals are, quote unquote, according to you, in on it. I'm not even really sure what that means, because the doctors and the people that are writing off on the death certificates are writing the cause of death as being coronavirus in these 22 cases. You're saying every single one of these hospitals, every single one of these doctors, every single one of these people are, quote unquote, in on it. And my question to you is, how do you know that? And they're in on it for what reason?
Well, I mean, these people are all in bed with pharma, and pharma wants to make money off vaccines. They want to make
There's
money
not
off.
even a vaccine out there, and they're saying it's not going to be.
$8 billion
They're creating
for
one,
one.
and I believe they're in the works for it
All right.
now.
Well, Christy, I appreciate your phone call. Thank you.
Am
Go
I
ahead,
living
JD.
in bizarro world here? I really do feel that way.
Are you guys pro-vaxxers?
So why
I'm
are
just
they
curious.
why
Are
are
you
they
guys all-
why are they quarantined in these special biocontainment
Because
units?
because
and
like
why
you
are, and
explain
why
that.
are
Okay,
why
good
are
one.
all the
Yes.
employees wearing borderline hazmat suits?
Yeah, okay, that's a great question right there.
No,
Because
it's an outstanding question.
If they because it's all a bunch of actors.
Okay,
they
they're
put
all
them in
acting.
a hazmat suit.
So
they get
they're
everybody. Let me
actors,
finish.
like
they
Dustin
get the
Hoffman?
media. Yes, exactly like
It's-
Dustin Hoffman
where's Morgan
or Brad
Freeman?
Pitt.
So,
and next
so
wait,
where's
wait,
Renee
wait, one
Russo?
person at
We
a
need
time
him.
here.
So
Hold on.
we had someone on our show last week named Carl
okay.
Goldman. Carl
And-
Goldman he was the first ever
Right.
person in
Where's
the
your
world
evidence?
to talk
Wait,
about
wait,
the
wait, where's your
coronavirus.
evidence about that? I don't know. He's the first. I was talking about it
Carl,
before
no,
him.
I'm saying he actually is infected with. Are you infected with the virus? I
How
don't
does he
think
know
you
he's
are.
infected?
No,
Where's your evidence
no,
he was infected?
Carl
I can play
Goldman-
this game too.
Carl
Where's your
Goldman
evidence?
was on
Come
the Diamond Princess cruise ship.
Yes.
He's infected with the
And
virus.
he
He
got
was
a
he was
cold?
moved to a biocontainment unit in
Okay.
Omaha, Nebraska,
It was tested
where
for the
I'm
virus.
I
from.
don't
You're telling me
believe any of it.
that,
I don't believe
everyone
any of
there
it.
everyone there is an actor.
Yes, because they want to create
Okay, so
fear
let me
because
ask you
they
this:
want to
where does
vaccinate
the story
everybody
come
to
from
death.
as
They
far
want
as
to
the actual disease
vaccinate
itself? So
everybody.
the conversation was
Right.
that bats in China
That's a
gave
nonsense.
the disease to pangolins, and pangolins who are sold in China on the black market were sold, and I guess their scales are used for certain things,
Do you have any
and they're
evidence
eaten
of that?
by some Chinese. But that's how the virus started.
Allegedly.
Well, why did the virus start in Wuhan, and where does that story
Because
come from?
that's a good question. I think the reason they started in China because our media can play the game that China's a secret society. We really don't know what's going on in China to scare everybody. Because if they scare everybody enough, they can get Congress to appropriate $8 billion, and they're going to make a vaccine, and presumably you guys are going to go vaccinate yourselves.
Matthew,
Why
we're
would
going
you
to
do
take.
that?
We want to take some more phone calls. Let's go to Mitch. Mitch, you're on with Matthew Phillips. Thank you for calling in. What's on your mind, Mitch?
Well, I have a PhD in toxicology, and I was an infectious disease specialist for the Air Force.
Yeah.
And the gentleman that you're interviewing, I wonder if he's ever heard of reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction.
Sure. What about it? What do you want to know about it?
That is exactly how they test for this, and it's not the
No, they're not.
coronavirus. It is a SARS-CoV-2. It's a second generation of a SARS virus. That's what it is. COVID-19 is what they gave the
Where's your evidence?
disease names.
No,
What
really,
do I
where's
do?
your evidence?
okay,
Come on, that's the
I
most
worked on this
ridiculous
stuff in
thing
the
I have
military.
ever heard, okay?
Okay,
And the fact that
no.
you're in the military even makes me more suspect because they have the most motive to set
Okay,
up these
can you be
quarantine
quiet?
and curtail people's
Can you be
civil
quiet for a
liberties,
second and
just like
listen
they
to
did in
somebody who's a
9/11.
scientist?
They take away your
Please.
freedoms, take away everything, the
Please
personal
be
rights,
quiet.
because they pretend there's an
All right,
emergency.
let Mitch respond. Go
You're
ahead, Mitch.
grandstanding. Be quiet. There's a device. It's PCR, our real-time PCR. They take a fragment of the virus and then they replicate it in a device, and it shows them exactly what it is. And
No, they
that's how
don't. Well, then why are they testing only for the shadow of the virus? Why are they doing
not testing
presumptive
for a
cases?
shadow of the
Why
virus.
are cases
They're not-
called
they're not.
presumptive
No,
instead of
they're not.
confirmed?
There are-
No, they're
there are
presumptive. You
four-
can look it up.
There are several nucleic acids which are the basis for for all these viruses, and there's a specific sequence, and they're looking at that full sequence. That's what they're looking
All
at.
right, Mitch. Well, listen, Mitch, we appreciate your opinion and we appreciate the call. By the way, if you're just joining us, we're speaking with attorney Matthew Phillips, who says that the coronavirus is not only man-made, but no one has died from the coronavirus. Some people would say he is a conspiracy theorist. He says he's a good conspiracy
What do
theorist.
you mean by conspiracy theorist? You know what that word even means?
Yes, I do.
challenge- Define
Yes,
it
I
for
do.
me. Define it. I bet you don't know
Here's
what
the
it is.
difference here. Okay, well,
Tell me what it means.
Okay, well, we're going to take some calls, but before I do, I will answer your
chickening
question.
out.
No, I'm not chickening out. I'm looking at you right now, and I will tell you right now, a good conspiracy theorist has facts to back up their opinions.
No, I asked
and
you to
have
define
zero.
the term. Can you define
And
the
I'm
term?
asking you, and I asked you,
You can't. I didn't
excuse
think
me,
you could.
excuse me, sir. I asked you 20 minutes ago to give me evidence, and you've given me absolutely no evidence
I'm
to
asking you
support
to
any of your
define your
opinions.
own word.
And I'm
A
asking you to define
conspiracy
your
theorist-
opinions, the reason why you're in studio, and you can't give me
Let
one
me tell you
evidence
what
to back that
conspiracy
up.
theory means. Conspiracy is an agreement between two or more people to commit a crime.
Here we
That's
go
what
again, getting into the
conspiracy
weeds.
is.
Okay, let me
That's
ask you a
it has
question.
definition.
Where is your 100% evidence to back the fact that no one has died from the coronavirus? I'm going to
Okay.
give you another opportunity to answer that
let me just
question.
put a big mirror here and say, where's your evidence that anybody has died other than the media? But, you believe
no,
everything
not the media.
says, right?
Excuse me, let me me respond to that.
You met someone that
Excuse
died?
me. Let me respond
Okay,
to that. It's
okay.
not the media that's reporting the deaths. It's the hospitals and the doctors that are. So what do you mean? Oh
Right.
my God! It's the doctors.
That's like the
People have
dumbest thing I've
died.
ever
You
heard.
go to,
People,
you
this
can go
is
to the morgue.
making
You
this
can
up.
go to the
It-
morgue.
it-
That's the
Hold on,
evidence.
Chris. The dumbest
Well,
thing.
I'm
Hold
making
on.
a point.
really
Okay,
is.
hold on.
Seriously.
The dumbest thing you've ever heard.
Yes.
So you're telling me all the doctors and the hospitals out there that have written out all the reports that have said people have died the coronavirus are dumb,
Let
and
me
you're
ask
the
this.
smart
Are
one.
people,
That's
are
the
people
dumb-
allowed
doctors,
to, Are
Brian.
people allowed to write that on death certificates that they die of vaccines? There's never been the word vaccine written on a death certificate because
So
they're
this
not
is all a
allowed
hoax
to.
to you. The coronavirus is all a
well, I'm
hoax.
telling you that what they get to write or don't write on death certificates is highly
So
controlled.
this is all a hoax,
okay?
and the
Yes, I
coronavirus
told
isn't
that
hurting
already.
anybody. It's all a hoax
Well,
to you.
instead of just asking the question over and over, let me explain what's going on here.
Please
Why you're
do
doing
within
this,
a minute
okay?
or two, so we can
Like
get to
I've
some of the
said
other
a
calls.
million times, they purposely create a problem and they get the government to
Who?
beg them.
Who does that? Who?
Come on, you know how I'm
No,
saying.
answer the question.
The
Who?
powers that be.
Who
Like
are
you
the
want me to
powers
look it
that
up?
be?
Okay. Next time,
Who did it?
if you make any factual assertion, I'm going to ask you every
You go
time you
ahead.
make one
You go
to
ahead.
say, "Where's your evidence
You
for
go
that?"
ahead,
because
because
it
I will
doesn't make a
answer
talk
it.
show. It just shows you're Neanderthal and have no subtlety.
Okay, well, first of all, you don't know what a talk show is, and if you don't like it, you can get the hell out of the studio right now.
No,
You're not
what
going
I'm
to
saying
insult
is
me on
you
our
should-
show.
You should let the person, your guest, say something. Instead
You're
of
not
saying, "Where's
saying
your evidence?
anything.
Where's your evidence
You're
for
not,
that?
You're
Where's
not
your
saying
evidence?"
anything that makes sense. All right,
Yeah,
we're going to
'cause you
take
keep
some more
saying,
calls.
"Where's the evidence?"
702-257-5396. Let's go to Brandon. Brandon, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on? Brandon, are you there? I think we lost Brandon. 257-5396. Let's go to Eddie. Eddie, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's up, Eddie? What's on your mind, man?
The article in the Jerusalem Post that said that a Galilee Research Institute has been working on a vaccine for poultry bronchitis and some kind of respiratory disease in chickens and poultry, and that they might have a vaccine in 3 to 6 months, according to the Science and Technology Minister of Israel.
Okay, that's possible.
How do they know it'll work? I mean, the point is some
Well, I know
viruses.
that's why they have
you know,
to test
why
it
is there
for-
no
for
why is there
3
no
to
vaccine
6
for
months.
AIDS? Why is there no vaccine for herpes? Because not every virus is such that you can turn it into a disease to make it, handle itself.
257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Joel. Joel, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Well, where did you find this guy? I mean, first of all, he's never answered a question directly. Number two, I believe you guys are doing a disservice by allowing this guy a platform to disseminate nonsense. People are going to believe this crap that this guy is.
People are going to believe it because
spewing.
it's true, pal. That's what's going
You
on. The
can't prove
government does
one
prove-
thing that you've said
You
yet.
can't
Shut
prove
the
anything
frickin'
that
mouth.
you've said either. Okay, nobody
Tell
can
me,
prove anything.
you
here.
haven't been able to prove a single thing. You dodge every question that's asked. You avoid, you evade. You're a coward, and you're a nitwit.
Okay, anything else? You have a question there?
Also, you forgot to say
asked the
conspiracy
question.
theorist.
Show
Yeah, you
us
forgot
your
conspiracy theorist.
evidence.
But you don't know
Where's
what
your
that is, Brian.
evidence? Where's your
Show
evidence?
us your
NBC?
evidence.
Anderson Pooper? Who's your evidence?
Hey,
Come
Slick.
on.
Hey, Slick,
Hey,
you're
tough
an
guy.
attorney. You know
Yeah.
what evidence is.
Yeah.
Shut up or shut up.
Shut up or shut
Shut
up.
up or
I
shut-
don't have any exhibit, boards here or anything. Listen, they're doing this on purpose. The same reason they did 9/11.
What
was
kind
an
of attorney
inside
are you,
job.
by the way? I'm curious.
Any kind of attorney you want me to be.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. Really. But listen, let me finish the story. Do you guys believe 9/11, like that a bunch of guys, 12 guys from the Middle East with box cutters, were able to thwart the #1 world's defense system?
Absolutely, 100%. Yes.
You guys are
I do
like
believe that.
brainwashed. You guys must be pro-vaxxers.
Brainwashed.
Do you
I
guys,
guess.
have you guys had your flu vaccine?
Okay,
yes or no?
so
do you
hold on
guys
a
believe
second.
vaccines are
So
safe?
9/11 didn't happen?
No,
Is that
do you
what you're
guys
saying?
do you guys believe vaccines are
9/11
safe?
didn't happen.
Let's go back
no,
to
it
9/11
did happen,
for
but
a
it was
second.
that was demolition. This is the only time I've seen a building come right down on its own footprint.
And who was
remember
responsible
when the,
for
remember
that?
when the landmark? Remember the landmark?
Very simple
hotel
question
fell
for you
over
here.
like this when the demolition fell over.
T.
So
Matthew.
9/11, the whole thing.
So let
on
me
its
ask you
own
a-
footprint.
So let me ask you.
Boom.
Go ahead,
Demolition.
JD. Go ahead.
T. Matthew, very simple question here. Cancer has killed millions and millions of people. Do you think that the government is going out of their way not to create a cancer vaccine
Oh, absolutely. No, not cancer. Well,
because it is good for the medical business, because it is a billion-dollar business?
cancer, this is a whole nother show, but cancer cures are definitely suppressed. A cancer vaccine won't help anything. All vaccines are a hoax. Let me tell you about vaccines, because a lot of people will tell you vaccines are safe. Let me give your viewers a factoid they've never heard before. In 2011, they had a big Supreme Court case. in the Supreme Court case, they had to rule on whether or not people could sue vaccine makers. You're not allowed to sue vaccine makers. Even GM, General Motors, at the height of their game, when they were the biggest corporation on the planet, they didn't have immunity from lawsuits, but the vaccine people do. This is significant. But in this 2011 decision, this is what they said, that the FDA has never spelled out in regulations the criteria it uses to decide whether a vaccine is safe. You cut me off on the punchline. If people say vaccines are safe, let me ask you this. No, if someone said vaccines are safe, would that mean they kill less than 6 out of 100?
I want to
There's
go back
no
to what you
standard
just
for the
said
word
earlier.
safe vaccine.
Okay, hold on.
I just want you to know that. There's no
This is very
government
telling.
regulation.
I want to go back to what you said a few minutes ago because this is very important. I think it's very telling of who you are, with all due respect. You said that 9/11 was an inside job,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, who did it then? Who did it? So those terrorists
The
that were on
people
that
that
plane that
bombed
are
it, yes.
dead, they didn't do it. They just happened to be on the plane?
Yes. No,
Really?
no, nobody's on a plane. Those are self-guided planes. Nobody was on them.
Okay, so
come on, where's the wreckage from the plane that crashed in
hold on,
Pennsylvania?
There's a passenger manifest. We know the names
Okay,
of
how
those
did Building
people that were on
7
the
go
plane.
down?
Hold
Wait,
on
3
a second.
buildings went down,
Stop.
right? 3 buildings
Stop.
went down.
No,
right?
you just said.
Right?
Let's go back to what you just
No?
said. You
Okay.
just said. Hold on.
All right.
One
sir,
thing at a time.
Sir, you're not letting us finish our question. You're interrupting us in the middle of our question.
You just said that those people on the plane didn't die?
Yeah,
They're
there's
still
nobody on a
alive?
plane. There's nobody on a plane.
Really?
There's
so
nobody on a plane.
so
yeah.
the passenger manifest and the video of those people getting on the plane.
Where's your proof? Where's your evidence
They're
for that?
dead.
Come
they're
on.
6
Where's
feet,
your
they're
where's your
6
evidence?
feet underneath the ground. How
Where's your
dare
evidence?
you?
Show
How
me
dare
your
you?
evidence.
There are people.
How
There are
dare
stories
you?
of
Okay,
people
Greta.
that died.
Okay, Greta. How dare you?
What do you mean,
Like,
Greta? What does
because
that
you're
mean?
like, you're all, how dare you? Like it's
So
Greta or
tell me,
something?
answer me a question then.
Okay,
Those
Greta.
people that they said were on the plane,
Uh-huh.
one of whom worked for Fox News. That was
They
a TV
said,
analyst.
oh, you heard on the
They
media?
have
Oh, so
graves.
Sean Hannity told you, you're like, okay, Sean,
Okay,
thank you.
How about
come on.
How about those people that are 6 feet underneath the ground
What
right now?
about
How
them?
did they die?
Who's under? Who's on
the
6?
people that
Who?
were in that building and the people that
Who?
were in those planes.
Wait, who are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I
People on the
just
plane?
answered your question. The people that were on the passenger manifest that are gone.
How do you know they're
those
on the passenger
family members
manifest?
that
How
don't
do you know
have
that? How do you know that?
Well,
Where's
here's
your
an
evidence?
example for you.
Where's your? Okay, let's see the evidence.
Are you being serious with me right now?
Yeah,
You're
I am,
looking me in the eye and you're talking
yes,
about
because anybody can play anybody can play a
Do you
game
think
of where's
those
the
people,
evidence.
Are you a nut?
No, let me. How many buildings
You're
went
a
down?
nut.
Building 7. Anybody know of Building 7?
Listen,
Show of hands.
okay, hold
there
on a
was
second.
Building 7. 3 planes
Stop.
went. 3 planes
Stop.
went down on 9/11.
Stop.
Not 2.
Listen,
okay?
if you
do
want
the
to,
math.
if you
2
want,
airplanes, 3
I'm going to
buildings.
turn your mic off if you can let me talk. Okay, if you want to make the argument that maybe the government could have been involved,
They did. They
okay,
were.
let me finish. Then I'm willing to have that discussion with you, and we can talk
You know
about
what Larry
that.
Silverstein
Let me
is?
finish. If you want to make that argument, that's fine. What do you mean unbelievable? We're having a conversation. Let me finish
No,
the
you're
damn
just
question.
yelling here. You just want to try to
Because you're-
control the conversation.
No,
you want me to talk.
sir, you are.
Does anybody know about Building 7?
You are
Stop.
not letting us
Stop.
ask you questions.
Okay.
Can I ask you one?
No,
Building
you
7?
can't. You
Anybody?
need to- we're gonna
Nobody
ask
saw the
you a
Building
question,
7.
Turn your mic off and let
and
you
you
let
answer
us
the
talk.
question. That's
Okay.
it.
Look,
we talk,
unbelievable.
then you talk. You talk,
Okay.
then we talk. It's
Okay,
very
listen,
simple.
say what you
I'll
gotta
tell
In the
you
middle
what-
of our questions,
Okay.
you're
I'll
making
tell
these
you what-
snarky remarks.
I'll tell you what my definition of unbelievable is. If
Okay.
you want to have a discussion about maybe how the government might have been involved, I'm willing to have that discussion with you.
Right.
But for you to say, well, there's families out there that lost,
Where's your
let me
evidence?
finish. The firefighters and the police officers that lost their
Yeah,
lives.
people died. Yeah, they died. Police officers,
but
yes.
they didn't die
yes.
in the planes, though.
No,
Those people were fake.
I told you the
That is
planes are
ridiculous.
this remote control planes crashing to a building.
What are you,
an
an 8-year-old
American
kid? Remote
yes,
control.
I'm 8 years
What
old.
are you, 8 years old? A remote
Are you
control
16
plane?
years old? Are
You
you
think those
19 years
planes
old?
were
Come on.
remote controlled? Then where did those people go? I ask you again. They found bodies. They found physical evidence of the bodies of some of the people who were in that
Muhammad
plane.
Atta's, they found his passport and they knew he did it, right? Remember the Muhammad Atta passport?
So where
You
did
guys
those
didn't
people
watch
go
that?
then? Answer the question.
Come on.
Those people that were
This is just
supposedly
silly.
hold on. Those people that were supposedly in those planes on 9/11 that you believe were not on those planes, please tell me where they are. Where are they? What do you think? The school shooting in Connecticut didn't happen either? You're an InfoWars
Absolutely
nut
not.
is what you are.
No, InfoWars is that guy's a nut too. He's
So
another
you agree
person.
you're a nut also?
No, he's someone
He's
who's
just a better
hired.
paid nut.
He's
He
someone
has
who's
more
hired
respect
to
than
give
you.
a bad name to
So
community.
answer the
he has a
question.
bigger platform
There's no
than you.
Answer the question. Where did
Have
those
you heard of
people go
Building
on that
7?
plane?
Have you heard of Building
We
7?
will talk about Building 7 in a second until you answer my question. The people that were on those planes that you
There
say
was
didn't
nobody
exist,
on the plane,
then
I'm
where
telling
are
you.
those people? Answer the question.
They made up names. Somebody writes some names and they made up names. Wake up.
So those people on those planes didn't exist. Is that what you're saying? They never existed. So those wives that are crying that had husbands and those
Where's your
kids,
evidence?
those kids that lost
Where's
their
your
father,
evidence?
they don't exist. Where are they then? Where are they?
I just told you the people that were the Americans that were in the tower. They're people that died, and yes, those towers were collapsed by demolition. But the plane that flew into it is a remote-controlled plane with no
And
passengers
what is your
on it.
evidence of that? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Where's your evidence?
There's DNA evidence.
Where's Building 7? Okay, now you dodge Building.
You
Have
asked
you heard
me
of
a
Building
question.
7?
No, we're
Have
not
you
on.
heard-
We're
you
not
just-
on to Building 7
Listen,
yet.
you can't. You're scared of that
you're
one.
not-
You're. The thing is,
I'm scared.
Three buildings, 2 airplanes.
How are you an
Tell me
attorney?
how Building 7
How the
went
hell
down.
did you pass the
Can
bar?
anybody tell me how Building 7 went down?
That's a valid question, Mr. Shapiro.
Building
That is a very
7 went
valid
down.
question.
How?
What kind
Building
of a-
7.
No,
What was brought down Building 7? Like this is the question. You guys
How
keep
the
dodging.
hell? How the hell did you pass the bar?
Do you handle cases in
I
court?
took the test.
Do you do this in court? Do you act like this in court? Is this standard? Does a judge let you act like this in court, or does he throw you out? Honest to God. Or do you try to handle all your cases out of court because you can't even handle yourself in court?
Building 7, the Solomon Brothers building is a 47
Yeah, where did you go to
building.
law school? That's what I want to know.
I went to a place that's like a Sandy Hook. It's gone. The law school I went to has got demolished.
And what's the name of it? Can you tell me what the name of it is?
I can't even remember.
You can't remember where you
I can't
graduated?
remember for the life of me.
You can't remember where you graduated from law school?
JD,
Are you even
I
an
think-
attorney?
I think JD called this. This is a troll
30 years
situation.
ago. You can look me up. You can look me up online.
We got hoodwinked,
Like
JD. I think we got hoodwinked, Brian.
Are you actually an attorney?
Yes, I am. The California State Bar number 165833.
And where did you graduate? Then why can't you tell us where you graduated from?
Because I can't remember what they call it now. They changed the name. It's like University of Laverne at something or
Well,
other.
now
College of
I
Los
guess I'm a
Valley.
conspiracy theorist too.
Yeah.
I don't even think you're an attorney.
You can say whatever you want, but I am. I have a bar card.
I don't think you're an attorney. I don't think you represent
Let's talk
anybody.
about
But Brian,
Building
you
7
can
in
actually
the
take,
meantime.
you can take the
Let's
bar
talk about
in California and not go to law school, which is what I think you did. Am I right? You
No, no,
you don't have a JD, do you?
No, I don't have a degree. I have no
Okay,
college
exactly.
degree
Right.
of any
but
kind.
You passed the bar.
But I passed the bar.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Because anybody can sit for the bar exam.
Kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio and Catch Me If You Can, right?
if you go, if you go to
Did
law
you watch a couple
school.
of movies?
Okay, but enough about me.
Oh,
That was a good flick, by the way.
Yeah, it was a great.
Definitely.
It's a really good flick.
Definitely, there's no question about being a lawyer here. But the issue is this: when are we going to talk
there
about
might be,
Building 7? I'm anxious to talk about Building 7 here. Is there any way we can talk about Building 7? We have.
Well, it's a little bit of a departure from the coronavirus, which is originally why we're having you on for this conversation.
It's the same reason.
But you started out the interview by talking about patents. I do think, Mr. Hall, you do have a patent. You have a patent on
Let me
something
just defend him
called
on
the
one
shadow
thing.
of the
Let me defend him.
coronavirus.
Let me
you have a patent
let
on
me
that,
defend him on one
calling
thing.
it that.
He did pass the bar in the state of California. I have it right in front of me here. September 29th, 1993. Admitted to the state.
27 years. like I told
Admitted
you.
to the State Bar of California. I think you should have to go through that again.
Was he
but-
admitted to someplace else after he got that?
Be honest. Be honest.
Because I think that's a very definite
Mr. Phillips, have you
possibility.
ever been admitted to a psychiatric ward? Be honest. Don't lie to us. Be honest.
Yes.
Let's talk about Building 7.
won't
here,
answer
'cause you guys
the
will keep
question.
dodging this.
He's dodging the question, Brian.
3
He's doing it
buildings,
again.
2 airplanes. How did 2 airplanes take down 3 buildings? What made Building 7 the
There are-
47-story
okay.
building
Remote
collapse?
control
In the
airplanes. We're
in the
back to that now,
No,
right?
it didn't get hit. It didn't get hit.
There
How did
weren't
Building
any,
7
there
go
weren't
down?
any people on those
Okay,
planes,
let me tell you.
right?
Did anybody
Mohammed-
read the 9/11
heard
Commission
Mohammed
report?
I heard
Because
Mohammed
I
Atta
read
bought
the
a remote
9/11
control plane at 7-Eleven, and he,
I
and he
read the
flew into
9/11
the building.
Commission
That's
report.
what he
They
did.
had the first
But
ever
listen,
drone.
let me say this. I read the 9/11 Commission report, the whole GD thing, okay? Let me say this about the 9/11 Commission report. It never, ever mentions Building 7.
I have 30
which is
seconds.
kind of a
I've got to
remarkable
take.
thing.
I've got to take a couple
Just-
callers
but
here.
don't talk about
I
Building
have-
7
I
whenever
have-
you do.
I have 30 seconds
Pretty
for
cowardly.
James.
Pretty
James,
cowardly.
James, you're next up on the Vegas take. Go ahead, James. I got 30 seconds for you. Go.
Brian, I don't agree with you on a lot of things. JD, I agree with you on almost everything. But please, the two of you get this retard off the air.
All right.
I'm sorry for saying that.
Can't use that.
James, I appreciate the call.
Yeah.
Let's go
great
to
call,
Todd.
James.
Todd, you're next up on the Vegas take. What's going on?
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Todd.
Well, this is Pat, but
Okay. Sorry, Pat. Go ahead.
well, I just want to know, if he's ever been found in contempt, how many times he's been found in contempt of court, interrupting court like he interrupts you guys.
Matthew, would you like to answer that question for him?
0. But let's talk about Building 7.
We
here,
only got
okay?
about a minute. We don't have time for Building 7.
Yeah.
Well,
we have
listen,
1 minute left.
Well, let me just tell you what's going on with the coronavirus. The
What's
reason
going
they
on with
did
you?
It,
Are you married?
the reason that they do
you
the
have a family? Be honest.
coronavirus.
Are you married?
Are you married? Should we just talk about
no,
your
I'm
private
single.
life
No,
or
I'm
talk
single.
about the coronavirus?
I'll answer
here?
anything. We have
The point
30
is-
seconds. Do
no,
you
I
have
want
a
to talk
family?
about the
Do you
coronavirus
have
here.
kids in this town? Do you have a family? Yes
the
or no?
coronavirus
You won't
is
answer the
something
question.
that is created on purpose so they could get $8.5 billion
all right,
of
just,
funding.
just
It's all about
just
the
to summarize
$8.5
quickly.
billion in
So
funding.
people are dying of something, and the government is saying it's a
Nobody's dying.
coronavirus. Okay, no one's actually dying.
Nobody
none of these.
All right.
No,
They're
there
just
hasn't
making
been
it up to
3,500
scare
deaths
people.
across.
Okay.
I mean, there's
They're
been
just
videos
making
of
it up.
people falling on the street in Iran and China.
Yes, I'm sure
so
there
that,
are.
That
I've
hospital they
seen,
built in
yes.
China was just a joke that they built in 10
Yes.
days.
All right,
Yes,
we got to
they're
go now.
I got it.
We got to go now.
got
Matthew, I appreciate your time. I think you're absolutely out of your mind, but
Yep.
I appreciate your time. Coming up next, we'll be speaking with Jamieson Welsh from Drive Time Sports. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take.
Can a tree change a life? At Trees for the Future, we believe trees make all the difference in the fight against poverty, hunger, and climate change. Through a proven permaculture method called the Forest Garden Approach, Trees for the Future has positively impacted over 26,000 farmers and their children. Are you ready to leave a lasting impact on the world? Find out how to plant seeds of hope this season at trees.org/radio. That's trees.org/radio.
Are you maxed out on your credit cards? Well, JetBlue can lower your payments, reduce what you owe, and help you no matter what your credit score is. With JetBlue, your outstanding balances could be reduced by 40, 50, even up to 60%. JetBlue has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, so discover how much money you can save in the first free call. Call 800-291-6670. 800-291-6670. The call is free. The information is free. Call now. 800-291-6670.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Special report, markets plunge. Parents who've used timeouts to try to calm down an excited child understand what happened on Wall Street this morning. Traders had their hand on the sell button so hard the market tumbled 7% in just a few minutes. That's when the New York Stock Exchange called a timeout and imposed circuit breakers that stopped trading for 15 minutes. Correspondent Julia Chatterley.
The circuit breakers kicked in and it simply stops trading. It's a 15-minute window that allows traders to pause, to take a breath and to stop hitting the panic button and selling. Trading then restarts after 15 minutes, and you see then how things trade.
Stacey Cunningham is president of the New York Stock Exchange.
The reason why we put circuit breakers in place is so that we can slow the market down and give investors an opportunity to react, absorb information, and recognize the fact that the markets are here for the long term.
Oil prices are down more than 50% in the last days. I'm Mike Moss. Just ahead of another round of important Tuesday primaries, Joe Biden has gotten the backing of former rival Cory Booker.
This is the most important election of my lifetime, and the fear of Donald Trump having another 4 years and the consequences, not just for our country, but for humanity, are great. It forces us all to do what we believe is right. And I'm not going to be driven by fear, but by faith. And I have a lot of faith in Joe Biden.
A passenger on the cruise ship off the coast of California that has people infected with the new coronavirus on board says personnel covered from head to toe in protective gear woke them up today to check if they were sick. Michelle Smith of Paradise, California, says a doctor knocked on the door and asked to find out whether she or her husband had fevers or coughs. She says the couple is healthy. The ship, the Grand Princess, is planning to dock in Oakland sometime later today. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 1933 at this hour. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by ExpressPros.com. An accident with injury sustained reported at Nellis Boulevard at Sahara. Police and fire were the scene. Expect slow and go in the area. And taking a look at our freeways, I-15 looking very good right now. Light to moderate volume, no serious delays between the Spaghetti Bowl and Tropicana. No delays at the 95, east side or west side inbound to I-15. That looks good. Losing sleep over a stressful job or a bad boss? It's time to get to know Express Employment Professionals. Connect on the Express Jobs app or expresspros.com. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
It's open enrollment season, and Medishare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google Medishare and see if it's a fit for you. Medishare, healthcare you can believe in.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Whether you enjoy classical, rock, or heavy metal, we all march to the beat of our own drummer or guitarist. That's why Views also offers you more ways to vape your way. It's available in 5 bold color options, 3 smooth tastes, and 3 nicotine levels. It's your vape, your way. Views, charge beyond. Underage sale prohibited.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
Hi, it's Alan Masters. Join me and my brother David for Advice Line, 10 to midnight, Monday through Friday on 720 KDON and 101.5 FM. That's Advice Line, America's live radio counseling program. If you've got problems, we've got answers. Monday through Friday, 10 to midnight.
Attention all men. Nearly 50% of guys over 45 suffer from erectile dysfunction. If Viagra, Cialis, or the cheap knockoff drugs aren't working for you, the doctors at Peak Health can correct your ED issue. No drugs, no needles, and no side effects. Call the doctors at Peak Health today at 702-625-4334. That's 702-625-4334. 702-625-4334. Get the spontaneity back in your love life. Be romantic again, naturally. Say goodbye to pills and those nasty side effects for good. Call the doctors at Peak Health today so we can bring the joy back to your love life. Call 702-625-4334. That's 702-625-4334. 702-625-4334. Or find us online at peakhealthlife.com. peakhealthlife.com.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. If you were just listening last segment, I've been doing radio for 20 years. That was one of the weirdest segments I've ever done. His name was attorney T. Matthew Phillips. He says a lot of crazy things on that show.
Are you emphasizing attorney, Brian?
Well, he said that the coronavirus was man-made and that no one's ever died from the coronavirus, and he said it's a hoax. So yet he's saying it's man-made, but yet it doesn't exist. Then he went into 9/11. He said that nobody was in those planes, that it was used by a remote control. Those are just some of the wacky things he did. And, everyone in studio was like, who's going to walk this guy out? I don't want to walk him out. This guy's nuts. So our camera guy, who is certainly a hero today, is Campaign. And Campaign had to walk this guy out of the building. Campaign, we appreciate you doing that, by the way.
No problem.
So, Campaign, what was your thought process as you're strolling out Mr. Phillips out the door? What were you thinking at that point?
Mr. Phillips, he the hairs on the back of my neck were standing up the whole time. You guys are sitting there joking with this guy. I'm like, this dude is crazy. I'm like, we got to get him out of here. And then as soon as the interview was over, all you guys take off. And I'm like, I'm in this. He's sitting there wanting to talk. No, get up out of here now. No, excuse me, sir. We have to leave right now. I need that space right now.
Well, Campaign, we commend you for doing that. Thank you, by the way.
No problem. No problem.
We do appreciate that. I didn't want to walk him out of there. That guy's nuts. That guy's out of his mind. But anyway, let's get back to a little bit of normalcy here. The coronavirus does exist, and it can and is affecting the sports world. The NHL, the locker rooms, they're now closed to the media. What's next? What's going to happen for college basketball, the NBA? The man we have with us on the line right now, always love it when he comes on. He is our hoops guru from Drive Time Sports. He is Jamieson Welsh. Jamieson, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. Definitely appreciate it.
Jamieson, you're not a conspiracy theorist, right? I know I'm not. You're no more of an expert than I am, but I would say, yes, the coronavirus does exist, does it not?
Oh, it definitely exists, and it is, it's here to stay. I mean, it's a lot going on, especially in the sports world right now. So there's a lot of different things and opinions and, just a lot of different thoughts that are, kind of not necessarily a panic, but it's definitely a topic of conversation.
Well, definitely. And, LeBron James was asked about the possibility of playing in an NBA arena without any fans. I want to play you this audio from LeBron, and then I want you to respond to it. This is LeBron James telling reporters he refuses to play in empty arenas.
I ain't playing. I ain't got the fans in the crowd. That's what I play for. Play for my teammates. I play for the fans. That's what it's all about. So if I show up to an arena and ain't no fans in there, I ain't playing. So they can do what they want to do.
So what would you say to that, Jamieson?
I understand completely where it's coming from. I mean, a lot of the people that think, oh, it's just a game, and it's not necessarily just a game. I mean, there's, whether you're playing on the playground, whether you're playing in, a regular high school gym, a college gym, the atmosphere is what the game is based about. Like the game yesterday, that was the best game of the year.
It was incredible.
Talked about game.
Yep.
And it wasn't just because you had two of the best teams playing. It's because of the setting. You have a Clipper home game filled with Laker fans, and you can't replicate that. And you take that element out, that it's just not the same. Like sports without emotion and without an atmosphere, you really can't do that, especially a game like basketball. Baseball is a little bit different because a lot of baseball games, especially in the later innings, are mostly empty.
Right.
But basketball, man, you got to have people in stands. Like, there's just no way.
And I agree.
Playing basketball in empty gym.
Yeah, I agree completely, Jamieson. So the NBA, though, sticking to the NBA now, wants to hear these teams' coronavirus plans by tomorrow. What do you know about this?
Well, there's like a conference call like Wednesday to kind of figure out what's going on. I know they've already, told people not to do autographs or anything like that, just because, the germs that can be spread. And, but in terms of overall, no one really knows. I mean, the team planes, most teams have their own charter planes, so that's safe for the most part. But in terms of, traveling from arena to arena, no one really knows. It's a big unknown at this point. But playing a game without people being there is a very, very risky situation.
So I agree. Let's talk a little bit about Chicago State. As you know, the WAC tournament is going to be in Las Vegas starting, I believe, Wednesday, actually. And Chicago State basketball team announced that they will be canceling the road trip amid these coronavirus concerns. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, what's their record?
They're not very good. They're not very good. Let's put it that way.
So my thing is this: if they were a better team, I don't think some of the things that have happened over the last week or two with them would be taking place. I think if they're in the running for an at-large bid, or if they're in the running for NIT or whatever it may be, their situation would be a little bit different. But when you've had a really, really bad season, you kind of want to end it when you can. If you have a chance to end it quickly, you want to do that. You don't want to have to keep on going on with this situation. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. I just think that when you look at the whole situation, you look at their bad team, they have to travel to that conference. Very few of the schools are close, so you have to travel when you go places. So you're going from Chicago to Vegas, Chicago to Seattle. You really don't want to have to make those trips unless you absolutely have to. I think it's more about the budget and the team being bad more than anything in my eyes.
So, Jamieson, what you're pointing out is you think that these teams are actually dictating their actions based on their team performance or based on team goals as opposed to what the actual threat is as far as the coronavirus and the information that we have regarding this pandemic that's coming across America right now?
All right. So we got the ACC tournament starting up on Tuesday.
Yep.
We have the Big Ten tournament coming up. We got the Big 12, Pac-12. None of those schools are talking about not going. All those schools are traveling.
No, but I'm talking about like that whole dynamic of, teams making decisions just based on, well, we're not a very good team or we're not going to be a tournament team, as opposed to, we're really concerned about
Chris,
the coronavirus.
I think if you think about the fact that a lot of these fans aren't going to travel for these teams, especially with the coronavirus concerns, as well as the fact that they know that they're not good, they don't really have a chance to compete, and they don't want to do any more damage. I think that makes sense.
Well, let's go to the good news. And by the way, if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Jamieson Welsh from Drive Time Sports, talking about how the coronavirus could possibly affect sporting events. Let's talk about the good news, Jamieson. All these postseason tournaments here in Las Vegas. We just had the Mountain West Conference, which was fantastic. We're going to be heading out to the West Coast Conference tournament tonight, the Zags, BYU. And that isn't affected. The WAC isn't affected other than the awful Chicago State basketball team. Nobody wants to see them anyway. And as far as I know, the Pac-12 not affected either. So that is the good news. And then the NCAA has come out saying that they plan to play at every single March Madness site, all 14 sites. So nobody's really going crazy. People are still sticking to their guns, and all these games are going to be played with fans in attendance. Right, Jamieson?
That's correct. And also, here's the thing, too. A lot of fans have already paid for stuff. And if anyone's tried to cancel a flight recently, it is very difficult. One, you got to wait an hour on the line. And two, airlines aren't refunding you your money. You might get a flight credit, but you're not getting your money back on your credit or debit card. So it's really, really tricky when it comes to the traveling and the tickets and all that. Like, it's a really difficult situation for that. So, yeah, people are going to go. Like, if they already bought tickets or they already have hotel accommodations, they're going to those events. That's just how it is.
So let me ask you about the NHL then. And I know you cover the NBA and college hoops, but this is a situation that I certainly don't agree with. As I'm sure you've already heard, the NHL is now cutting media access into these NHL locker rooms before and after games. I think it's a big mistake they're making and a very dangerous precedent. And maybe, I don't know, maybe some of these players just don't like talking to the media anyway. I don't know. I have a feeling if this was during the playoffs, this would not happen. What do you make of the decision that Gary Bettman has made?
I believe that happened in college basketball as well, if I'm not mistaken. I remember the guy from San Diego State, the writer there, I can't think of his name. I believe he mentioned something of that nature.
Yep.
And I'm thinking
Ziegler.
instituted something similar as well.
Yeah.
So like that's gonna come like that. I get that.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know who has what.
Exactly.
And you don't want 25 guys or 20 guys or 13 guys being close to someone that may have. So I understand that. However, instead of the media coming to the locker room, there's going to have to be a situation where the player or players go to a certain area to where they can be interviewed if possible. It can't just be, hey, no media allowed, period. There has to be some sort of compromise so the media can get their job done as well.
I mean, Brian, imagine if a hockey player or a basketball player or a football player or a baseball player gets a coronavirus and is playing a game and they don't know that they have it. And I mean, imagine how many people could be affected by that, especially a professional hockey team. And that could totally affect their bottom line, especially considering the fact that new information just came out that the coronavirus is actually it's the most active at 8 degrees Celsius or 35 degrees Fahrenheit, which is roughly the temperature that those ice rinks will be. So I understand that 100%.
Well, why don't they close down the locker rooms for the flu then? Why don't they do the same thing for the flu that kills 20, 30,000 Americans every year?
Steph Curry just had the flu, didn't he? Like 3 days ago.
We have a cure for the flu. We don't have a cure for this.
I understand that, and that's a very valid point. But when you look
it's just such a giant insurance risk for the teams, especially the professional teams, because they're paying these guys millions of dollars, and they're relying on them to bring fans in and to obviously produce revenue.
And by the way, Jamieson, as we're conducting this interview with you, we are watching the ship that has in Oakland that has 21 coronavirus patients. They're about to dock. So this is a scary situation. I'm telling you, it's going to be a scene from Outbreak. And again, that's going on in Oakland right now. This ship is about to dock with at least 21 patients that have been affected by this virus. So we'll continue to monitor this, Jamieson, and we'll see how this goes. Let's move on to some actual basketball news. So Kyle Kuzma.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Welsh.
Kyle Kuzma, Jamieson, made some interesting comments over the weekend, asked about this possible Lakers-Clippers playoff series. Seems to be inevitable, but I want you to listen to what Kyle Kuzma's answer was to that. Have a listen to this.
I mean, I don't mean by inevitable. Just like it's gonna happen one way or another. Yeah, it's gonna happen. I mean, that's how the league's gonna make money. You know, it's gonna happen.
So basically, he's saying the league. This is how the league's going to make money. It's going to happen. Whether that might be true or not, do you think it's appropriate for an NBA player saying, "We're definitely going to, play in the Western Conference Finals against the Clippers because this is how the league makes money"? Do you think it's appropriate for a player like Kyle Kuzma to say that?
Definitely not appropriate. He should not have said that. However, those are the two best teams out west. It's not like one team's a 5th seed and one team's a 3rd. Like, they are the two best teams. Now, you look at the potential teams they got to face to get there. The Clippers may have a rougher path if they're the 2 seed or the 3 seed than the Lakers would. That's just kind of how it goes down. But I mean, I don't think he meant anything by that. I just think it kind of came out that way. But they are the two best teams, and they are on a collision course for the Western Conference Finals. We just got to hope everybody's healthy at that time. But, yeah, that's, there's nothing – I mean, he shouldn't have said it that way, but the way things are going, I mean, they are by far. I mean, the gap between 1 and 2 and the next best team, who I think is probably Denver, and I wouldn't even be too confident in that, but that's probably the 3rd best team out west. It's a pretty wide gap between teams 1 and 2 in Denver. So, it is what it is. But, if one of the LA teams was not in the conference finals, I think it would be a bigger shock than anything.
So obviously, Jamieson, we got a chance to see the 2 LA teams in action this weekend, but we also, Jamieson, got to see a possible NBA Finals matchup with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Los Angeles Lakers over this weekend. I want to get your overall perspective and thought on this Milwaukee Bucks team. Are they getting, the type of respect or perception around the league that they should be getting, considering when you look at the Eastern Conference, this is going to be the team that has a real chance of coming out of the East and playing in the NBA Finals?
Well, they shouldn't get any more respect than they deserve, because right now they remind me of the 07 Mavs. Very good regular season team. You have one really great player that's an MVP type. You have an all-star second guy, and a bunch of role players. Now, remember the 07 Mavs team won like 68 games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
They won a bunch of games regular season, and then they ran to the Warriors, and they lost in the first round. The Bucks remind me a lot of that team. Again, very solid coach. Team is really good, but they just don't have enough. And I don't trust their role players versus good teams to make plays when they need them. I don't trust Bledsoe and George Hill and I don't trust those guys enough to where you play elite teams and you got to go to your third and fourth options on plays for them to come through consistently enough. I just don't. I think that Boston has a good chance of beating them. I think that Toronto has a good chance of beating them. I'll even do you one better. I think that if Philly gets healthy, it's a big if because they have a lot of injury issues and other issues. But if Philly gets right, they have a good chance of anyone out east. So Milwaukee's the best team out east, but they're far from unbeatable, and Miami's already beaten them twice. So they have some things to worry about, to tighten up on. They're probably the team out east with the least amount of concerns, but I wouldn't just say, hey, they're in the finals. I wouldn't do that just yet.
Okay. So you think that Philadelphia's coach could handle coaching in the playoffs? You think he's a decent coach?
Well, no. However, he has the most talent.
Yeah, he does have a lot of talent.
And when you have the most talent, you always have a chance. And my thing is Coach Buttenholzer has not been the best coach in the playoffs. He's had issues in the playoffs, especially with making adjustments and whatnot. So when he's had to make adjustments, it's been kind of tricky for him. We'll definitely see what happens. But here's the thing. When you're the favorite, like the overwhelming favorite, it's a little bit different.
Right.
When you're, when it's a coin toss or a slight favorite or a slight dog, you coach different, you play different. But when you're the overwhelming favorite, different pressure now. And we'll see, because the Bucks will enter the playoffs as overwhelming favorites to get out of the East. And we'll see how they deal with that. But me personally, I think there's teams out in the East that can take them off.
Were the Bucks, weren't they the overwhelming favorite last year as well, Jamieson?
Not really overwhelming. Not because the teams, Toronto and Philly were both good.
Right.
So it wasn't like a situation where, it wasn't like an odds on if they don't make it, it's a travesty. No, they were the favorite, but it wasn't like a situation where if they, it wasn't like the Warriors situation where it was like minus 2,000 to get out.
Right. And they weren't 53-12 like they are now. Obviously, just completely steamrolling all the competition. At least when Giannis plays. So one team that was involved in a major trade with the Lakers is the New Orleans Pelicans. They have Zion Williamson is now back. They're starting to play pretty well. They're winning a lot of games. I like their starting five of Holiday, Ball, Williamson, Ingram, and Favors. They don't have a lot of depth on the bench. Do you think they have any chance whatsoever of making some noise in the Western Conference playoffs?
In 2021, this season's over. And the reason why it's over is because they don't defend. And to get a winning streak and to make sure that, you try to catch Memphis, because Memphis is up, I believe, 4.5 on them. 4.5 with 20 to go is very difficult. It's very difficult to make. But that being said, I don't see it happening. I really don't see it. When you look at the situation, the Pelicans lose games that they have no business losing because they just don't defend. They give up 120, 125 too easily. And Alvin Gentry's a good coach for certain situations, but he does not emphasize defense. That's a huge problem.
Obviously, another story coming out of New York, you'd think it'd be about the New York Knicks, but it's not, Jamieson. We're talking about the Brooklyn Nets and the coaching situation. Kenny Atkinson ends up stepping down as the head coach there. There's thoughts that maybe Tyronn Lue might be in the mix as the next head coach there in Brooklyn. Your thoughts on that whole situation, because, there's a lot of viewpoints out there that he basically got a raw deal with that team, given the injury situation, obviously with Kyrie being out for the season and this Brooklyn Nets team not even being close to healthy and being what it's going to be once the 2021 season rolls around. What do you think about that whole situation as far as the coach in Brooklyn with the Nets?
Well, so here's the situation. Every coach has a particular, role, I guess you could say. There are some coaches that get you from like the bottom of the league to the playoffs. There's some coaches that get you from like the barely making the playoffs to like the second round conference finals, and there's those coaches that get you from like the conference finals on up.
Right.
And Kenny Atkinson is a player development guy, a guy to kind of turn things around. I don't know if he was a guy that gets them to the second round conference finals, that kind of guy. And the star player, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, I don't know if they, bought into him being the guy full time. And there's other guys out there, like you mentioned, Ty Lue, that has won a championship and has experience in coaching, in June. And if that guy's available, you go get him. Kenny Atkinson has done a hell of a job. He's helped change the culture for the Nets. But when you bring in two max guys, those guys make the decision on the coach. That's normally how it goes in this league, especially when none of those guys have an attachment to the guy that's now coaching. Now, it would have been different if Kenny Atkinson was one of those guys who's coached from before or one of their trainers or whatever. That wasn't the case. So when a situation like that does happen, normally this is nothing new. This has happened before and it'll happen again.
Jamieson,
whenever you have two max guys in your team, you're going to have a different coach in there.
Jamieson, didn't get a chance to get your thoughts on the UNLV basketball season. I want to go back to that. Obviously, UNLV lost in the quarterfinals of the Mountain West Conference tournament. Now, I said that if he had won that game against Boise State, it would have turned what wasn't a horrible year, a decent year, into a great year, because then maybe they would have had an outside chance of getting an NIT invite. And I say maybe, because that's not a guarantee. Now, obviously, their postseason chances are done with. Year one for T.J. Otzelberger, certainly a much better year than I think some of us expected, and I thought he did a decent job. But tough loss on Thursday against Boise State. What do you make of their season overall?
Not bad. It wasn't bad considering all that happened. And, whenever you're in year one, you just kind of have to avoid disaster.
Right.
And he did that. There was nothing crazy that happened. There was no loss to like a D3 school or nothing like that. There's no player getting in trouble off the court in a serious situation. So there was good things that happened. Of course, taking San Diego State's undefeated record away was amazing. That's something to build on. However, how many guys are you going to keep from this team? Because there's already been talks of who's transferring, who's staying, and, who's coming in. And that's always, something to keep an eye on, because you want to build that continuity from season to season so there's not a whole lot of turnover, because in other regimes we've seen how that kind of works, and it can work against the coaches sometimes. So I kind of want to see who stays. And also, I want to see the coach not throw his guys under the bus so much, especially for the first year. You kind of want to make sure guys are comfortable in being here and make sure guys are trying to, fit your system. But it's like every game, especially at the beginning of the season, he was throwing guys under the bus left and right. And that just didn't really sit well with me, especially on a team where he's made some coaching mistakes as well. So hopefully going forward in year two, that doesn't happen.
So two questions. Let's address the transfer conversation. Amari Hardy has obviously been talked about as a possible transfer. Do you think he transfers? And in my opinion, Bryce Hamilton was not only the most improved player in the Mountain West, but the entire country. Do you agree with that?
He's definitely in the conversation. Now, Hardy transferring, we'll see what happens. But no, Hamilton, he was good. He got, he was confident. He's got a lot better. It'll be interesting to see what he does. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to put his name in the draft. I don't think he'll go to the draft. I can see him going to the workouts, testing the waters out, seeing what's there, seeing how it is, and then coming back to school. I can see him doing that. But no, he definitely impressed. He's a guy that he showed that he has some abilities, that this won't be his last stop. He's going to be a pro somewhere, whether it's in the league or overseas or whatever. He's going to be a pro. He has certain skill set that we haven't seen here in a while.
Yep.
But here's the thing. Does he buy in to what the coach is selling going forward? That's going to be key. And we're going to see, based off of these guys return or not, how much they believe in this coach. Because they have a possibility next year of having a really solid team if guys return. But if they don't return, you're almost starting over again.
Everybody returns. I think that they should be the team to beat. I know San Diego State's going to be pretty good next year, too. But, Jamieson, before we let you go, give out that information. How do people follow you? How people see you on social media?
Well, let's see. On Twitter, @TheJamieson. Let's see here on Instagram, same one, but instead of V, just Jamieson. You'll see me on. I'm usually on this show quite often. I appreciate you guys always having me on. Of course, ESPN 1100 in the city as well. Then Fox Sports 1340 and other places around the West Coast. And then you'll probably see me tonight at the West Coast Conference Tournament. I'll be at the probably Gonzaga game. I'll see you.
Yeah, we'll see you there tonight.
And we are actually going to talk about that next. Jamieson, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Always appreciate your expertise. Thank you so much for coming on. Dr. Jamieson Welsh joining us on the show. Jamieson, thanks for your time, man. Always appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Jamieson.
Thanks, Doc.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
He is Jamieson Welsh from Drive Time Sports joining us. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, is it possible that the U.S. markets are on track for the worst day in a decade? A 2,000-point plunge. We'll talk about that and preview the West Coast Conference coming up next.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is John Greenhut, the CEO of Power Swabs. And if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniker that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
Today, in trying to soothe fevered worries about the big market sell-off that caused a halt in trading to cool things down.
Listen, the market's obviously been very active today. President Trump has delivered a historically strong economy. The fundamentals in this economy are unbelievable, whether it's employment or wage growth or productivity or international trade deals. The fundamentals remain what they are.
Mark Zandi from the Moody's Analytics thinks the government should prepare a stimulus package because the Fed can't lower rates much more.
We'll get to that zero interest rate in the not-too-distant future. And then they're going to, at that point, they don't have much more they can do, and it's up to the Trump administration and Congress to get it together and pass fiscal stimulus. That's what we'll need.
The Dow down 2067. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
Wheel of Fortune slots make more millionaires more often. Will you be next? Play Wheel of Fortune at your favorite casino today. Wheel of Fortune is a registered trademark of Califon Production Incorporated. All rights reserved.
If your business is in need of office furniture, look no further than Office Furniture Concepts. From executive furniture to workstations, conference tables to reception furniture, and more, Office Furniture Concepts has got you covered. With true commercial-grade quality at competitive prices and knowledgeable staff, it's no wonder Office Furniture Concepts has been serving the Las Vegas community for over 2 decades. Visit Office Furniture Concepts showroom on West Tropicana at Arville or call 702-873-8555. That's 702-873-8555.
Tina Trenner is back, and she's on 720 AM, 1015 FM, KDWN every Sunday at 12 p.m. She's sick of the nonsense and has something to say every Sunday at 12 p.m.
Test drive new surf, wake, sport fishing, and pontoon boats at the On the Water Boat Show at Lake Mead Marina this weekend. New and used boats will be on display with huge savings. The best prices of the year happening at the On the Water Boat Show at Lake Mead Marina. Test drive new Yamaha jet boats, Bayliner and Sea Ray sport boats, Mastercraft and Heyday wake and surf boats, Bennington pontoons, and more. Test drive before you buy at the On the Water Boat Show this weekend, Thursday through Sunday at Lake Mead Marina. More info and directions at boatinglakemead.com.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. By the way, a quick reminder, got some great guests tomorrow. Speaking of hoops, the kid who hit the game-winning shot for Utah State, that would be Sam Merrill. He was last year's Mountain West Conference Player of the Year. and he is the reason why they are moving on to the NCAA tournament. Sam Merrill will be joining us on the show tomorrow, so you won't want to miss that. And this woman wrote a book. It is in regards to Bill Clinton. She accused Bill Clinton of rape. She has gone into serious detail, and now she's commenting on the fact that the Clintons are now speaking out about some of this stuff. Obviously, it's bothering her. Juanita Broderick will be joining us on the show tomorrow. So Sam Merrill, Juanita Broderick tomorrow. Two very interesting guests for two very different reasons, but they're going to be joining us on the show tomorrow live. I wanted to mention this real quickly because it's important. You know, the U.S. People are saying that the U.S. markets are now on track for the worst day in a decade. A 2,000-point plunge, a 15-minute trading halt, and possibly the biggest oil crash in 30 years. Certainly, it is a scary time for Wall Street today, and obviously this has to do with the coronavirus. I mean, where do you guys see this thing going? Do you see it getting any better, or does it continue to get worse?
Well, as someone who likes to look at things glass half full, I would absolutely hope that this gets better because we're floating around into 2008 territory, aren't we, gentlemen, when we're talking about the economy and what this has done as far as the coronavirus? There's no question that even if the facts don't present themselves that this is something that should be taking place, it is creating a fear around the globe. Yeah, well, that has really contributed to something that's real world effect here, right? We're talking about the economy now going down the tubes, and this is something that is scaring a lot of people.
I just hope that if the market does continue to get worse, that left-wing media does not blame Donald Trump for it. That's all I hope. I hope that it's not used against Donald Trump to say your economy is crap, because Donald Trump's economy before this took place was the opposite of crap. The stock market was outstanding, and it's actually still higher than it was before he took office.
Well, here's my response.
So I hope that doesn't take place. But I do see it probably continuing because of the widespread panic and the fact that it's in 35 or 40 states now. But the actual specifics of the virus and who it affects need to be more taken into consideration, and I don't think that they are. I mean, honest to God, for someone my age, you know, there's not been one person in the world. I think there's been one person in the world under 10 years old infected. That there's been one death under 30 years old. I mean, for someone my age, for someone Chris's age, for someone Brian's age, I mean, anyone really under 50 years old,
happen, right?
it is basically. I mean, I'm not calling it the flu or a cold, but it's going to feel like the flu or a cold to you. And most people who get this virus are recovering. Now, are people dying? Yes, but people that are dying are those that are already sick, they're infirmed, and they're typically elderly. And now and I said it before, it is considered kind of a death wish for the elderly, and I feel for them. But I hope that this widespread panic doesn't continue because it's more of an isolated group of people that are affected by this.
I'll say this in closing this part of the conversation. While I agree with you that this should not be politicized on either end, I will also blame the right as well, including Donald Trump.
Not just the left.
Including Donald Trump, who in partial is blaming Barack Obama for this virus and the lack of testing that they did. It goes both ways. I don't think it's right in either direction, but I will say for 8 years when Barack Obama was president, many of the things that were not in his control, Republicans blamed him for. So it goes both ways. It shouldn't happen on either side of the spectrum, but I will also say that Donald Trump shouldn't get there on a stage and downplay what's taking place here. He should be on the same page as others, and it seems like members of his administration and the people that are actually trying to fight this virus are saying different things than what the president is saying. So they all need to be on the same page. Yes, we don't need to get back into the Mike Pence conversation or the jerk circle, as I like to call it. He would rather pray on this thing to go away. I think there is some fair criticism, and then there's unfair criticism. Donald Trump did not create the coronavirus, but I do believe that they all need to be on the same page, and there are some truths and some things that Donald Trump has been saying that are just not true, like saying that there was going to be, a cure for this very, very soon. Well, you know what? 12 to 18 months is not very, very soon, and that's what all the professionals are saying. So Trump needs to be honest with the American people. So we'll leave it at that. We will continue to monitor this conversation tomorrow on the show. I want to get to some fun stuff, and that is the West Coast Conference basketball tournament. Don't worry, folks. We got hate mail coming up here in just a few minutes. And a quick reminder, if you want to actually see our beautiful mugs on television, check us out on our YouTube page, The Vegas Take, as we go there live every single day with multiple cameras. So check us out. Want to talk a little West Coast Conference basketball because it's not every day you get to see one of the best teams in the country play, and that's going to be tonight at the Orleans Arena. 4 good basketball teams, 2 really good basketball teams. Gonzaga is playing San Francisco. They're favored by 13. While I think San Francisco is a decent basketball team, you can maybe make the argument for San Francisco being an NIT team, but they are not going to have a chance against Gonzaga. Gonzaga could get off to a slow start. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But I think Gonzaga shouldn't have any problems with San Francisco and moving on to the finals. Going to the other game, BYU is another team just like Gonzaga. While Gonzaga is a better basketball team, BYU is really good. They've been consistent, top 25 in the country the last 6 weeks or so. I could see BYU being a Sweet 16 team. They have a lot of seniors. They have a lot of guys that can shoot. They're pretty good underneath the basket. They're very well coached. BYU is going to be playing St. Mary's. Now, St. Mary's had to play in the quarterfinals. It's been a while since they had to play in that game. While St. Mary's is not a pushover, they're pretty good, and that's why the spread's only around 4. I like BYU in this game, and I like Gonzaga. I think that's what we're going to see in the final. I think the only way BYU loses in this game is that they don't shoot well from 3. I mean, that's a big part of their offense is how well they shoot the ball from the outside. The problem with St. Mary's is I don't know if they're capable of scoring in the 80s. And when you play BYU, they score in the 80s. You're going to have to score in the upper 70s or 80s to beat BYU. I don't think St. Mary's is capable of doing that, and that's why I think BYU wins, and I think it's going to be Gonzaga-BYU final. And I think in the end, we're going to see Gonzaga tear down the Nets on Tuesday night at the Orleans Arena. What do you guys say?
I think a big question, JD, right, with a team like Gonzaga, when you're the number 2 team in the country, is motivation, right? In a conference tournament like this, they're basically a lock to a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. And so that I think it's a fair question to ask, and I think that the answer to it is they're absolutely motivated because of what transpired a year ago, where they were basically stunned by St. Mary's in that championship game where they lost 60-47. You guys were at that game last year, so there's motivation for Gonzaga to win this tournament. So I don't think this is one of those look past situations with San Francisco in the matchup coming up tonight.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be a landslide victory tonight, though. I think San Francisco actually covers the 12-point spread. But BYU should blast the doors off of St. Mary's, in my opinion. I don't think there's any chance they lose this game. I love the money line. I like the -4. I think we do see a Gonzaga-BYU final, but I like BYU to win it all, Ryan. BYU has more depth than Gonzaga. Yoli Childs, they can't match up with Yoli Childs. They're very accurate from 3. They don't turn the ball over. They actually play reasonably decent defense. I think you're going to see a BYU-Gonzaga